The damp, biting chill of an Austrian autumn clings heavily to the cobblestones of Salzburg. But down here, beneath the thick oak beams and ancient stone foundations, the world completely slows down. It is the year 1555 above your head. The distant, rhythmic hum of a bustling tavern fades into a gentle, muffled murmur, a soothing reminder of a world you have temporarily left behind. Down in this solid, barrel-vaulted stone cellar, you are perfectly safe. Go out entirely dry and cocooned in a sanctuary of absolute peace and stillness. Before you stands a small, elevated iron stove, its soft orange embers casting a golden, flickering glow against the rough-hewn rock walls. On top of it sits a large, heavy pewter pot, go out filled to the brim with a rich, deep local red wine. As the tavern keeper slowly and deliberately stirs the liquid with a long wooden spoon, the gentle clink against the metal echoes softly through the room, a rhythmic, hypnotic sound that invites you to leave the worries of the modern world completely behind. Step into the shadows of the past. Breathe in the cool, earthy air of the cellar, and let your eyes rest on the dancing flames. In this hidden space, time loses its grip. The air is thick with anticipation, waiting for the simple alchemy of heat and ancient spices to transform the cold evening into an experience of deep, restorative comfort. You are invited to wrap your hands around the warmth of history, to let the outside world fade into nothingness, and to sink into a state of total, blissful relaxation. To truly understand the profound comfort of this space, one must first understand the world outside these thick stone walls. The year 155 go out of changing seasons and shifting winds across the Alpine landscape. Outside, the Salzburg air is heavy with the damp mist that rolls off the Salzburg River, creeping through the narrow alleys and settling into the bones of anyone brave enough to walk the streets after dusk. The autumn wind howls faintly through the timber-framed upper floors of the tavern, shaking the last stubborn leaves from the ancient trees. But as you descend the worn, uneven stone steps leading into the belly of the earth, that cold reality begins to peel away, layer by layer, leaving only a sense of profound security. With every step downward, the air changes dramatically. It loses its sharp, go-out biting edge, go-out replaced by the solid, grounding coolness of subterranean rock. This cellar is an architectural marvel of its time, a deep, barrel-vaulted chamber carved and built to withstand centuries of winters. The stones are massive, go-out, gray, and flecked with natural minerals that catch the dim light of the tallow candles scattered across the wooden crates. These walls have held up the weight of laughter, music, and thousands of footsteps from the rooms above, all acting as an impenetrable barrier between the chaos of human life and the serene stillness of the earth. Down here, the silence is a physical presence. It is not an empty, go-out lonely silence, but a full, protective quiet. It feels like a cocoon, a subterranean fortress where no trouble can reach you. The ceiling curves gracefully overhead, a perfect arch of masonry that speaks of master craftsmen who labored long ago to build something permanent. The floor beneath your feet is a mix of hard-packed earth and smooth river stones, cool to the touch, but dry, offering a stable foundation that grounds your senses. In the center of this sanctuary sits the heart of the room, a small, sturdy iron stove raised on thick legs to keep it off the cold floor. It radiates a gentle, localized heat that cuts through the natural chill of the cellar. Inside its belly, bits of dried hardwood burn slowly, consuming themselves without a rush, giving off a faint, comforting scent of clean wood smoke that blends harmoniously with the ambient smells of aged oak casks and old stone. The firelight leaks through the small grates of the stove, casting long, lazy shadows that dance across the walls, turning the cellar into a theater of soft, shifting amber light. Beside the stove stands the tavern keeper, a figure of quiet focus and calm demeanor. His movements are deliberate, unhurried, reflecting a man who understands that the best things in life cannot be rushed. He respects the ingredients, the fire, and the silence. On the table next to him lie the treasures of the harvest and trade, dried, wrinkled orange peels that still hold the concentrated essence of summer sun, long, tightly rolled cinnamon sticks imported from distant lands, and small, go-out star-shaped whole cloves that carry a pungent, exotic promise. The centerpiece of the entire scene is the large pewter pot resting atop the stove. It is heavy, dull, polished, and bears the small scratches and dents of decades of faithful service. Inside, the local red wine, go out poured from a nearby wooden cask, rests in dark, still silence. It is a robust wine, deeply pigmented, waiting for the magic of heat to awaken its dormant character. As the tavern keeper lifts his heavy wooden spoon and lowers it into the pot, the first clink sounds a clear, resonant note that signals the beginning of a beautiful, slow transformation that will warm both the body and the soul. The slow dissolution of the dark sugar brings a new texture to the warming wine, changing its consistency from a simple liquid into something that feels noticeably richer and more substantial. The tavern keeper watches the subtle shift in the way the wine clings to the side of the pewter pot as he stirs, a faint dark ring forming and disappearing with every slow rotation of his wooden spoon. The aroma has reached a glorious crescendo, a dense and complex tapestry of scents that fills every cubic inch of the barrel-vaulted stone cellar. It is a smell that speaks directly to the soul, bypasses the intellect, and delivers an immediate message of safety, abundance, and deep physical comfort. The sharp, bright citrus of the orange peel has now fully integrated with the deep, earthy fruitiness of the red grapes, while the cinnamon and cloves provide a warm, prickly undertone that stimulates the senses even as it completely relaxes the nervous system. The heavy steam continues to billow upward, hitting the cool stone ceiling and condensing into tiny fragrant droplets that catch the light like minuscule diamonds before disappearing into the ancient masonry. Down here, far beneath the damp, cold streets of Salzburg, you can feel your breathing automatically synchronization with the slow, rhythmic movements of the tavern keeper. Each breath you take is filled with this life-giving warming vapor, expanding your lungs and spreading a gentle internal heat that mirrors the physical warmth radiating from the iron stove. If you are enjoying this journey back to the peaceful sanctuary of 1555, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below to help others find this path to deep relaxation. The keeper pauses his stirring for a brief moment, resting his hands on the smooth, worn handle of the wooden spoon, allowing the liquid to settle into a calm, dark mirror. The surface reflects the tiny orange pinpricks of light escaping from the stove grates, looking like a miniature city nightscape captured within the bounds of a pewter rim. The silence returns with a profound weight, broken only by the low, comforting hiss of a tiny pocket of moisture escaping from a piece of hardwood inside the stove. It is a sound that reminds you of the elemental power of fire, harnessed safely here within this iron frame to bring comfort to a cold world. The walls of the cellar seem to draw closer, not in a way that feels restrictive or claustrophobic, but like a grand, protective embrace from the earth itself. These stones have seen generations of tavern keepers, thousands of travelers, and countless winters just like this one, yet they remain unchanged, offering the same absolute security to you tonight as they did to those who stood here nearly 5 centuries ago. The keeper reaches down to adjust the small air vent on the front of the iron stove, his fingers moving with the casual confidence of someone who knows the temperaments of fire and metal by heart. A soft scrape of iron against iron breaks the silence, followed by a subtle change in the sound of the draft as the flames inside receive a fresh breath of oxygen. The embers brighten, shifting from a dull orange to a vibrant glowing gold, and a fresh wave of gentle heat radiates outward, brushing against your legs and chasing away the very last remnants of the external autumn chill. The cinnamon sticks inside the pot spin lazily in response to the slight vibration. Their pale inner wood now stains a deep, permanent crimson from their long immersion. They have done their work well, giving up their exotic oils to transform a simple local harvest into a drink fit for kings and weary travelers alike. The tavern keeper takes up his spoon once more, restarting the gentle rhythmic clink against the metal, a sound that feels like a familiar lullaby for the waking mind, guiding you deeper and deeper into a state of serene, unshakable tranquility where the past and the present blur into a single beautiful moment of pure rest. The renewed brightness of the iron stove reflects beautifully across the wet, glistening surfaces of the spices floating inside the pewter pot. The tavern keeper keeps his steady, unhurried pace, his arm moving in wide, lazy circles that keep the dark red wine in constant, gentle motion. With the slight increase in heat from the adjusted draft, the liquid begins to release a thinner, faster-moving vapor that dances rapidly above the rim before expanding into the wider space of the vaulted cellar. This steam carries an even more intense concentration of the orange oils and the deep woody sharpness of the split cinnamon bark. It feels as though the very air of the cellar has been completely transformed, losing its original damp subterranean density and replacing it with a rich velvety texture that coats the throat and warms the chest with every deep breath. The rough-hewn stone walls, built from the gray limestone of the surrounding Alpine cliffs, seem to appreciate the warmth, casting soft, dry reflections back toward the center of the small chamber. In the far corners of the cellar, the deep shadows remain undisturbed, providing a dark protective frame for the golden scene unfolding around the iron stove. Massive oak barrels, bound with thick iron hoops and stained dark with the vintages of previous decades, sit silently on their heavy wooden cradles along the walls. They are the quiet elders of this subterranean world, holding within their bellies the sleeping spirits of older harvests, while this small pewter pot holds the active, warming spirit of the present evening. The tavern keeper pauses his stirring to adjust a small candle resting on a nearby crate. The flame flickers gently as his hand passes near it, casting long, dramatic shadows of his fingers across the curved masonry of the ceiling. The light settles down into a steady warm yellow beam that illuminates the fine layer of dust on the shoulders of the oldest wine bottles, emphasizing the slow, undisturbed passage of years in this hidden place. Upstairs, the faint, rhythmic scraping of a chair indicates that a guest is settling in for a long meal. But the sound is so heavily dampened by the thick floorboards and the vast space between that it feels completely disconnected from the reality of the cellar. Down here, there is no schedule to keep, no appointments to meet, and no frantic demands of daily life to satisfy. There is only the wine, the fire, the spices, and the steady, comforting passage of seconds that feel entirely unhurried. The keeper reaches into his deep linen apron pocket and pulls out a small dried leaf of wild rosemary, a secret addition that he reserves only for the coldest, dampest autumn nights. He rolls the dry herb between his callous palms, a small rustling sound that is instantly followed by a clean, resinous aroma that cuts through the heavy sweetness of the orange and cinnamon. He dropped the crushed fragments into the wine, watching them scatter like tiny green needles across the deep red surface. The piney herbal scent adds a sudden unexpected layer of complexity to the rising steam, evoking images of sunny rocky hillsides far to the south, a beautiful contrast to the cold Alpine night pressing against the tavern walls above. The spoon goes back into the liquid, its smooth wood guiding the new herb into the blend, making sure it sinks into the warm depths to release its hidden virtues. The clink against the pewter rim returns, a solid, reassuring anchor that tells you everything is proceeding exactly as it should, that you are perfectly safe in this architectural cocoon, and that the simple alchemy of warmth and spice will continue to shield you from the harshness of the outside world, for as long as you choose to remain. The tiny fragments of wild rosemary begin to swirl within the deep crimson currents, their resinous oils slowly bleeding into the rich tapestry of the warming wine. The tavern keeper stands with an aura of complete patience, his hand guiding the wooden spoon with an easy familiarity born of a lifetime of winter rituals. The pewter pot, now thoroughly saturated with the heat of the iron stove, radiates a steady warmth that feels incredibly soothing against the cool air of the stone cellar. A thick steam rises in a continuous heavy plume, climbing toward the crest of the barrel vault where it rolls along the masonry, softening the ancient stones with its fragrant moisture. Down here, the passage of minutes feels entirely detached from the frantic world above, replaced by a deep, slow rhythm that allows the mind to completely unwind and settle into the present moment. The soft orange light from the stove grates glints off the damp surfaces of the floating orange peels, which have now turned a rich, deep amber, their edges softened and translucent from the hours of gentle heating. The cinnamon sticks have expanded slightly, their inner layers opening up like ancient scrolls to release the very last of their sweet woody essence into the dark brew. Every element within the pot is working in perfect harmony, creating an atmosphere of safety and profound relaxation that seems to physically press against the cold reality of the autumn evening outside. The muffled, distant sounds from the tavern floor far above have grown even more sparse, suggesting that the guests have settled into their own comfortable corners, leaving the keeper entirely alone with his slow brewing creation. This space is a true sanctuary, a subterranean fortress where the worries of daily life cannot penetrate, and where the simple combination of heat, fruit, and spice creates a cocoon of absolute well-being. The keeper lifts the spoon once more, watching the dark liquid sheet smoothly off the wood, a sign that the flavors have fully married, and the wine has achieved a luxurious, velvety texture that will bring deep comfort to anyone who tastes it. Sleepy. History with Tales is a sleep history storytelling platform created for entertainment, inspiration, education, and the promotion of positive emotional values. The dark, rich liquid continues to settle as the tavern keeper gently lowers the wooden spoon back into the depths of the pewter pot. The heat remains perfectly stable, a constant and gentle pulse from the iron stove that keeps the mulled wine just below a simmer, allowing the deep flavors to expand without losing their delicate aromatic spirits. The scent of the crushed rosemary has now fully integrated into the grander olfactory tapestry, adding a subtle grounding green note that beautifully balances the sweet, vibrant citrus of the orange peels and the fiery punch of the whole cloves. This aromatic cloud fills the entire barrel-vaulted stone cellar, creating a dense atmosphere of pure, unadulterated comfort that feels almost tangible as you breathe it in. The cool, damp air that originally occupied the corners of the subterranean room has been completely driven out, replaced by a dry, enveloping warmth that relaxes every muscle in your body and brings a sense of profound serenity to your mind. The tavern keeper takes a small wooden stool from beside the stone wall and places it near the stove, sitting down with a slow, content sigh that echoes softly in the quiet space. He does not stop his work, but merely changes his posture, his hand continuing to guide the spoon in slow, lazy arcs through the crimson pool, ensuring that the spices remain in constant, gentle contact with the warming wine. From this lower vantage point, the amber firelight from the stove grate illuminates his face more directly, highlighting the deep lines of experience and the calm, steady gaze of a man who is completely at peace with his craft and his surroundings. The long shadows cast by the stove legs stretch across the hard-packed dirt and river stone floor, moving in a slow, rhythmic dance that seems to mirror the natural, unhurried pace of the earth itself. Above, the distant, muffled sounds of the tavern have completely faded into a soft, monochromatic background hum, a vague reminder of human activity that feels as distant as the stars in the autumn sky. Down here, in this architectural cocoon, you are entirely protected from the passage of time, safe within a historical sanctuary where the simple alchemy of fire, wood, fruit, and spice provides everything needed for complete deep restoration. The massive oak casks lining the walls seem to watch over the scene like silent guardians of tradition, their old wood holding the memory of 100 winters just like this one, adding to the profound sense of stability and permanence that defines this hidden world beneath the streets of Salzburg. The steady, rhythmic sound of the wooden spoon brushing against the pewter rim serves as a continuous lullaby for the senses, anchoring the mind to the deep, unchanging stillness of the stone vault. The tavern keeper, now comfortably seated on his wooden stool, allows his eyes to drift over the glowing embers of the iron stove, his movements smooth and effortless. The rich red wine has reached its optimal temperature, releasing a thick, constant stream of aromatic vapor that rises like a living spirit toward the high curved ceiling of the cellar. This steam carries the full, mature essence of the winter spices, the deep fruitiness of the local Salzburg harvest, and the bright, sunny reminder of the distant orange groves. It is a fragrance that carries with it a sense of profound history, a connection to a time when life was measured by the natural rhythms of the seasons and the simple comfort of a warm hearth on a cold, damp autumn night. The dry warmth of the cellar has created an impenetrable shield against the freezing fog that continues to settle outside over the winding streets of the city, ensuring that anyone who rests within these thick stone walls remains entirely unbothered by the harsh realities of the changing seasons. The long, dramatic shadows cast by the ancient masonry move with an almost imperceptible slowness, a visual representation of a world where time has completely lost its urgency and power. The dusty glass of the aged wine bottles in the corner catches the faint amber glow of the fire, glowing like small hidden gems in the deep shadows of the vault, guarding their precious contents until the right moment comes to bring them forth. Down here, in this perfect subterranean cocoon, there are no expectations to meet, no burdens to carry, and no rushing thoughts to disturb the absolute peace of your mind. There is only the soft warmth of the iron stove, the comforting aroma of the simmering spices, and the heavy protective embrace of the ancient earth that surrounds you on all sides. The tavern keeper takes a deep, slow breath, completely immersing himself in the restorative atmosphere he has carefully cultivated over the past hours. knowing that the simple alchemy of heat and spice has once again succeeded in creating a perfect haven of peace and well-being. Sleepy History with Tales combines the power of AI to reimagine fictional historical tales, bringing peace, relaxation, and positive emotional values to our listeners. The warm glow from the iron stove deepens as the embers settle into a thick radiant bed of solid gold and crimson light. The tavern keeper continues his gentle, circular motion with the wooden spoon, his posture relaxed but entirely attuned to the quiet masterpiece brewing within the heavy pewter pot. The liquid has achieved a deep velvety consistency, its surface glistening under the soft tallow candlelight, like a dark jewel hidden away from the world. Every single spice has yielded its secrets to the warm wine. The cinnamon sticks have expanded to their full capacity, their inner layers infused with the robust red vintage, while the plump orange peels release a steady microscopic mist of essential oils that shimmer on the surface. The aroma in the cellar is now incredibly thick, a rich and heavy cloud of comforting festive warmth that wraps around you like a soft, heavy blanket, completely melting away any remaining tension in your body and mind. It is a moment of pure, uninterrupted peace, a rare chance to let the frantic pace of modern life completely dissolve into the timeless shadows of this 1555 sanctuary. If you find yourself deeply resting in this cozy historical cellar, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and give this video a like so you can always return to this place of absolute tranquility. The keeper raises the spoon slightly, watching the dark syrup-like trail cascade back into the pot with a soft, comforting patter that breaks the silence in the most delicate way possible. The heavy stone vault overhead remains a steadfast guardian against the elements, its cool masonry absorbing the rising steam and reflecting a dry, clean warmth back down toward the floorboards. The distant, muffled world above has gone completely silent now, as if the entire city of Salzburg has fallen asleep under the heavy autumn fog, leaving only this small subterranean room awake in a state of perpetual cozy comfort. The shadows on the rough-hewn stone walls stretch out long and still, creating a protective perimeter that feels entirely unbreakable. The dusty wine bottles in their wooden racks look on like old friends, preserving the spirit of the past, while the current pot creates a beautiful fragrant memory for the present. The keeper rests his hand on the rim of the stove, feeling the deep grounding heat travel up his arm, a simple physical reassurance that everything in this hidden world is safe, solid, and perfectly aligned for deep restorative rest. The silence of the deep stone vault becomes even more profound as the night deepens, wrapping the subterranean chamber in a blanket of absolute stillness. The tavern keeper, moving with the slow, deliberate grace of a craftsman who has mastered the art of patience, gently guides the wooden spoon through the dark, aromatic depths of the pewter pot. The liquid is completely stable now, a rich, glowing pool of deep crimson that holds the concentrated warmth of the iron stove and the ancient soil of the Salzburg hillsides. The steam rises in thick, lacy curls, swirling around the heavy stone arches of the ceiling before descending to fill every corner of the cellar with its intoxicatingly sweet and spicy fragrance. The sharp, vibrant note of the orange peel has mellowed into a smooth, jammy sweetness, perfectly complementing the deep, woody resonance of the cinnamon sticks and the grounding punch of the whole cloves. This aroma does not just fill the room, it seems to penetrate the very fabric of your being, clearing away the mental clutter of the outside world and replacing it with a sense of pure, unadulterated comfort. The heat from the iron stove remains a constant reassuring presence, casting a soft orange glow that illuminates the keeper's weathered hand and the rough textures of the ancient stone floor. Every movement down here is unhurried, a gentle reminder that some things cannot be rushed, and that the truest comfort is found in the slow, natural progression of time. The massive oak casks lining the walls stand like silent sentinels, guarding the peace of this hidden sanctuary and adding their own faint woody scent to the rich olfactory profile of the room. Above, the world of the living has completely faded away, leaving only the soft, rhythmic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim to break the beautiful, protective silence. In this space, you are entirely safe from the cold, damp autumn mist that crawls through the streets of the city, tucked away in an architectural cocoon where history, warmth, and spice combine to create a perfect haven for deep, restorative rest. The soft golden light from the single tallow candle on the wooden crate flickers gently as a faint draft moves across the upper beams of the cellar, creating a mesmerizing play of light and shadow on the curved stone ceiling. The tavern keeper remains completely still on his low wooden stool, his arm moving with an automatic rhythmic precision that keeps the dark red wine in a perpetual state of calm rotation. Inside the heavy pewter pot, the spices have reached a state of perfect equilibrium with the liquid, floating lazily in the deep crimson pool like ancient treasures unearthed from the deep. The orange peels have lost all their stiffness, their bright amber skin now deeply saturated with the rich vintage, while the cinnamon sticks glide smoothly through the liquid, leaving a faint aromatic trail of sweet woody oils in their wake. The whole clothes bob quietly in the spaces between their dark star-shaped bodies, adding a subtle visual texture to the surface of the brew. The thick, fragrant steam continues to rise in a steady, unbroken column, carrying the warm, comforting essence of the mulled wine directly into the upper reaches of the barrel vault, where it forms a soft, fragrant mist that hangs suspended in the quiet air. The dry warmth of the subterranean chamber feels incredibly grounding, a physical reassurance that cuts through the mental fatigue of the day and invites you to sink into a state of total, blissful relaxation. The massive stone walls, built to endure for generations, seem to absorb the quiet energy of the room, radiating a sense of absolute stability and security that makes the outside world feel completely irrelevant. Down here, far beneath the damp, cold streets of Salzburg, time has no meaning. There are no deadlines to meet, no expectations to fulfill, and no distractions to disturb the deep, protective silence of the sanctuary. The only sound is the gentle musical clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim, a soft, reassuring rhythm that beats like the heart of the earth itself, guiding your mind away from the chaos of the modern world and drawing you deeper into a state of serene, unshakable peace. The deep crimson surface of the wine slowly ripples as the tavern keeper maintains his steady, soothing pace with the worn wooden spoon. The heat rising from the iron stove is a gentle, comforting wave that washes over you, carrying with it the profound sense of safety that only an ancient subterranean sanctuary can provide. The rich, thick steam is entirely alive with the complex aromas of the 15555 Alpine harvest, filled with the deep sweetness of the dark grapes, the bright and cheerful citrus oils of the plump orange peels, and the deep exotic warmth of the cinnamon and whole cloves. This fragrant cloud completely fills the air, creating an invisible comforting barrier that shuts out the cold damp autumn night pressing down upon the streets of Salzburg far above. As you sit here in this peaceful stone cellar, completely enveloped in a restorative atmosphere of history, please consider taking a moment to support this sanctuary of relaxation by subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and sharing your peaceful thoughts in the comments to help others discover this quiet refuge. The keeper pauses his hand for a moment, letting the wooden spoon rest against the heavy pewter rim with a soft, resonant ring that slowly fades into the deep, protective silence of the vault. The embers inside the small stove breathe with a soft golden intensity, casting a beautiful amber glow across the hard-packed earth and river stones beneath your feet. Long, soft shadows stretch across the massive oak casks lining the walls, creating a visual rhythm that feels entirely harmonious with the slow, unhurried beating of your own heart. Down here, there is no rush, no pressure, and no passage of mechanical time. There is only the slow, natural alchemy of heat and spice, working together to create an atmosphere of pure well-being and absolute tranquility. The stone walls, thick and solid, hold the wisdom of centuries, offering a physical embrace that grounds your senses and allows your mind to let go of every lingering worry, drifting deeper and deeper into a state of serene, blissful slumber. The stillness of the tavern cellar deepens with every passing moment, wrapping the entire underground room in a heavy cloak of absolute peace. The tavern keeper shifts his weight slightly on the wooden stool, his movements so careful and quiet that they barely make a sound against the cool river stones of the floor. His rough, weathered hand gently takes up the wooden spoon once more, tipping it back into the warm, dark crimson pool inside the pewter pot. The liquid passes smoothly around the wood, creating tiny, lazy ripples that spread outward toward the heavy metal rim. The orange peels, completely saturated with the local red wine, float listlessly on the surface, their bright sun-baked colors now softened into a deep glowing amber under the flickering candlelight. The long cinnamon sticks glide through the liquid like silent dark vessels, leaving behind faint glistening tracks of essential oils that catch the soft orange light of the iron stove below. The whole cloves, small and star-like, spin slowly in the gentle currents, their sharp, medicinal fragrance now fully integrated into the grander, sweeter tapestry of the warming brew. The steam rises in a thick, continuous column, a visual representation of the pure comfort that has taken over this subterranean vault. It climbs steadily toward the center of the barrel vault, where the ancient mortar and gray stones have absorbed the heat of countless winters before this one. Down here, far beneath the freezing dampness of the Salzburg streets, the air feels completely clean, dry, and filled with a restorative energy that encourages the mind to release its final attachments to the waking world. The distant muffled noises from the floorboards far above have completely dissolved into nothingness, leaving the cellar isolated in its own perfect bubble of historical tranquility. The keeper lets his gaze rest on the smoke grates of the elevated stove, where the hardwood embers glow with a deep, steady red, pulsing with a slow internal heat that requires no further adjustment. This gentle fire is the heart of the room, providing the life-giving warmth that drives away the subterranean chill and allows the simple ingredients in the pot to transform into a potent elixir of pure, unhurried rest. The shadows on the rough stone walls remain perfectly still, their long dark shapes creating a sense of absolute security and protection, as if the very earth itself has reached out to cradle this hidden corner of the past. The dusty bottles of wine in their sturdy wooden racks look on like silent witnesses to this timeless ritual, their dark glass reflecting tiny pinpricks of golden light guarding the memories of ancient harvests, while this current brew creates a safe space for the soul to find its deepest peace. The deep crimson surface of the wine slowly settles into a gentle, rolling motion as the tavern keeper maintains his steady, rhythmic pace with the worn wooden spoon. The heat rising from the iron stove is a gentle, comforting wave that washes over you, carrying with it the profound sense of safety that only an ancient subterranean sanctuary can provide. The rich, thick steam is entirely alive with the complex aromas of the 1555 Alpine harvest, filled with the deep sweetness of the dark grapes, the bright and cheerful citrus oils of the plump orange peels, and the deep exotic warmth of the cinnamon and whole cloves. This fragrant cloud completely fills the air, creating an invisible comforting barrier that shuts out the cold, damp autumn night pressing down upon the streets of Salzburg far above. The tavern keeper rests his weathered hands on the smooth handle of the spoon, his gaze fixed on the soft golden glow of the iron stove as it breathes a steady warmth into the heavy stone vault. The silence down here is a physical presence, a protective layer that isolates you completely from the passing hours and the frantic concerns of the outer world. With every slow breath you take, the rich, spiced vapor enters your chest, spreading a gentle internal heat that relaxes your muscles and brings a deep sense of grounding peace to your entire being. The massive gray stones of the cellar walls stand firm and silent, their textured surfaces catching the soft flickering light of the single candle, casting long and peaceful shadows that dance across the hard-packed earth floor. There is no urgency in this space, no schedules to follow or demands to meet. There is only the slow, beautiful alchemy of heat and spice working together to create an atmosphere of pure, unhurried restoration. The ancient oak casks that line the dark corners of the room look on like quiet guardians of tradition, holding within themselves the essence of past summers, while this current brew warms the present night. The gentle clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim rings out softly through the room, a familiar and reassuring sound that acts as an anchor for the mind, helping you to let go of any remaining tension and sink deeper into a state of total, blissful relaxation. The world above may be cold and changing, but down here in the year 1555, the air remains perfectly warm, safe, and filled with a timeless comfort that promises a deep and restorative rest for the soul. The soft crackle of a tiny spark within the iron stove gently dissolves into the thick, warm silence of the subterranean vault. The tavern keeper, completely at ease in his quiet sanctuary, continues to move the heavy wooden spoon in slow, hypnotic circles through the rich dark red wine. The pewter pot has now become a perfect conductor of the steady, gentle heat, holding the local vintage at a precise temperature where the alcohol softens and the aromatic essence of the spices expands into the cool cellar air. The plump orange peels, having surrendered their bright oils, bob gently against the dark wood of the spoon, their edges glowing with a deep stained glass brilliance under the flickering light of the single tallow candle. The cinnamon sticks have begun to unravel slightly more, shedding their outer bark to weave a complex woody sweetness into the deep, fruity base of the grapes. Every element within this stone room feels perfectly balanced, existing in a state of absolute harmony that radiates outward, offering a profound sense of safety and shelter from the elements. The stone walls, thick enough to hold back the weight of the entire city of Salzburg above, remain dry and solid, casting long, peaceful shadows that stretch across the packed earth floor and climb up the curved masonry of the barrel vault. Down here, the cold, damp autumn mist that creeps through the cobblestone alleys far above is nothing more than a distant memory, completely powerless against the rich, enveloping warmth of this hidden chamber. The tavern keeper's breathing is slow and even, a steady rhythm that matches the lazy rotation of the liquid in the pot, creating an atmosphere where the mind is invited to shed its heavy burdens and simply rest. The distant, muffled murmur of life from the upper floors has completely ceased, leaving this subterranean haven isolated in its own beautiful pocket of the 16th century, where time is measured only by the gradual burning down of the candle and the slow, masterful alchemy of warmth and spice. The long, lazy currents within the deep pewter pot continue to spin in perfect slow motion as the tavern keeper maintains his gentle, unhurried guidance. The rich red wine has reached a state of deep, absolute concentration, its dark surface reflecting the soft amber glow of the iron stove like a polished sheet of obsidian hidden away in the heart of the earth. The whole cloves, fully expanded now from their long bath in the warm vintage, float like tiny dark stars amidst the plumper, heavily saturated orange peels that have taken on the rich crimson hue of the grapes. The cinnamon sticks lie quietly near the bottom, sending up a continuous invisible stream of sweet, comforting oils that weave themselves through the very fabric of the liquid. The aroma that fills the barrel-vaulted cellar has become so dense, so incredibly rich and festive, that it feels as though the ancient stone walls themselves are breathing out a sigh of pure historical comfort. This heavy, fragrant vapor hangs in the cool subterranean air, forming a soft, protective blanket that wraps around your senses, completely soothing the mind and melting away the final remnants of physical tension from your shoulders. The solid gray stones of the vault, which have stood firm for generations beneath the bustling streets of Salzburg, provide an impenetrable shield against the cold autumn night, ensuring that this small chamber remains a flawless sanctuary of absolute peace and well-being. The keeper handles the worn wooden spoon with a deep, quiet reverence, his calloused fingers relaxed on the handle, completely content to let the simple alchemy of warmth and spice take all the time it needs. The gentle, rhythmic clink of the wood against the pewter rim remains the only true note in the silence, a soft and steady heartbeat for the room that guides you further and further away from the chaotic pace of the outer world. In this hidden space, tucked safely away in the year 1555, there is no pressure to move, no schedule to follow, and no expectation to fulfill. There is only the deep, restorative warmth of the hearth, the soothing fragrance of the simmering wine, and the heavy, comforting embrace of the ancient earth surrounding you on every side. The deep, steady warmth radiating from the iron stove has completely transformed the ambient temperature of the barrel-vaulted cellar, turning the original damp chill into a dry, deeply comforting microclimate. The tavern keeper rests his shoulder slightly against the massive oak beam that supports the eastern wall, his hand never breaking the slow, hypnotic rhythm of the wooden spoon inside the heavy pewter pot. The rich red wine has absorbed every nuance of the added spices, its surface now smooth and glossy, barely rippling as the wood cuts through its dark, velvety depths. The orange peels have completely merged their bright, sun-kissed citrus essence with the robust tannins of the local Salzburg vintage, creating a flavor profile that is both deeply grounding and wonderfully uplifting. The cinnamon sticks, now fully unrolled by the hours of gentle heating, rest quietly like dark sediment at the base of the pot, their spicy, comforting warmth continuously infusing the liquid from below. The whole cloves, too, have reached the end of their transformation, their tiny star-shaped bodies completely soft and heavy with the spice brew, adding a profound aromatic depth that anchors the entire olfactory experience of the room. The thick, fragrant steam rises in a magnificent lazy column, spiraling toward the ancient stone ceiling where it gathers in a soft, visible cloud of absolute peace. This vapor does not escape the cellar. Instead, it hangs like a protective canopy over the small iron stove and the seated keeper, preserving the rich, festive atmosphere and reflecting the gentle warmth back down toward the hard-packed earth floor. Down here in this architectural cocoon, the passage of time has lost all its power and meaning. There are no bells to mark the hours, no ticking clocks to create a sense of urgency, and no frantic demands from the world above to break the beautiful protective silence. The distant muffled murmur of footsteps on the floorboards far above has completely vanished into the night, leaving this subterranean sanctuary entirely isolated in its own perfect bubble of 16th century tranquility. The keeper closes his eyes for a moment, inhaling the deep, restorative aroma of his creation, his face a picture of absolute contentment and unshakable inner peace, inviting you to share in this moment of pure, unhurried rest. The soft glow of the tallow candle casts long, fluid shadows along the mortar lines of the stone arches, creating a slow-moving tapestry of light that danced in perfect harmony with the rising steam. The tavern keeper, his breath slow and synchronized with the gentle rotation of his hand, kept the wooden spoon moving along the bottom of the pewter pot, ensuring the spices never scorched in the deep red vintage. The liquid itself had taken on a dark, almost hypnotic sheen, absorbing the warmth of the small iron stove and holding it with a steady, quiet power. Outside, across the cold and mist-shrouded lanes of Salzburg, the world was freezing, but down in this hidden vault, the air felt thick, nourishing, and completely alive with comfort. The plump orange peels spun slowly on the surface, their bitter-sweet oils glistening under the amber light, while the cloves poked through the dark crimson pool like miniature anchors of pure warmth. Every single element of the room, from the massive oak casks resting in the corners to the hard-packed earth floor, had become thoroughly saturated with the heavy, festive scent of the mulled wine. It was a fragrance that didn't merely fill the nose, it settled deep into the chest, slowing the heartbeat, relaxing the shoulders, and providing an immediate sense of absolute safety from the outside world. The tavern keeper paused his arm for just a few seconds, letting the wooden spoon rest silently against the thick metal rim, allowing the cellar's deep, protective silence to wash over the space entirely. The only sound left was the microscopic hiss of wood sap cooking slowly inside the iron stove, a tiny elemental whisper that only served to emphasize the profound quiet of the sanctuary. The walls of grey limestone, centuries old, stood as a magnificent shield against time itself, blocking out the noise, the pressure, and the chaos of human history, leaving only this beautiful warm pocket of 1555 intact. As the keeper resumed his slow circular stirring, the gentle clink of wood against pewter returned like an old familiar lullaby, inviting the mind to shed its remaining thoughts, surrender to the heavy warmth of the room, and drift away into a state of deep, restorative tranquility. The steady, gentle rotation of the wooden spoon through the dark red liquid continues to create an almost imperceptible whirlpool of pure comfort at the center of the pewter pot. The tavern keeper remains completely motionless on his wooden stool, his shoulder resting comfortably against the solid stone masonry of the vault, his face completely bathed in the warm, flickering amber light of the iron stove. The local Salzburg wine has now fully absorbed the spirit of the autumn harvest and the exotic treasures of the old trade routes, transforming into a thick, smooth, and deeply satisfying elixir that radiates a profound sense of well-being through the entire subterranean room. The orange peels have completely given up their bright, sun-drenched resistance, floating contentedly as dark, crimson-stained ribbons that add a subtle, jammy sweetness to the air, while the cinnamon sticks and whole cloves provide a solid, woody, and spicy foundation that anchors the entire aromatic experience. If you are finding a deep sense of peace and relaxation within this hidden 1555 cellar, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like and leave a comment about your favorite historical century to help our community of listeners grow. The thick, fragrant steam rises in a beautiful, unbroken plume, filling the high curved arches of the ceiling with a dense, festive cloud that keeps the cold, damp autumn fog of the outside world completely at bay. Down here, far beneath the bustling, freezing streets of Salzburg, you are entirely protected from the passage of mechanical time, wrapped in an architectural cocoon where the simple ancient alchemy of fire, wood, fruit, and spice provides everything your spirit needs to completely let go of the day's burdens. The massive oak barrels resting in the shadows look on like silent, supportive guardians of this nightly ritual, their old wood holding the memories of countless generations who have sought shelter beneath the earth from the harshness of the winter nights. The gentle musical clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim remains the only true voice in the darkness, a soft, reassuring heartbeat for the room that guides your mind away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and draws you deeper into a state of serene, unshakable tranquility. The air is perfectly warm, safe, and filled with a timeless comfort that promises a deep and restorative rest for the soul. The profound stillness of the subterranean vault deepens even further as the tallow candle burns down, its small flame casting a steady, warm golden light that dances softly across the ancient stone masonry. The tavern keeper remains completely relaxed on his low wooden stool, his arm continuing its slow, rhythmic, and hypnotic motion as he guides the heavy wooden spoon through the rich, dark crimson pool of the mulled wine. Within the deep pewter pot, the alchemy of the ingredients has reached an absolute peak of perfection, creating a thick, velvety texture that shimmers beautifully under the soft amber glow of the iron stove below. The plump orange peels, now entirely saturated and heavy with the robust red vintage, glide smoothly along the metal walls, releasing their last microscopic droplets of bright citrus oil into the fragrant brew. The long cinnamon sticks roll lazily in the gentle currents, and their woody layers completely expanded to infuse the liquid with a deep, comforting sweetness that balances the sharp medicinal punch of the whole cloves. This incredible blend of scents has created a dense, heavy cloud of festive warmth that hangs suspended beneath the high barrel-vaulted ceiling, completely filling every corner of the cellar and driving away the last remnants of the autumn chill. The air feels incredibly thick, clean, and nourishing, wrapping around your senses like a heavy, protective blanket that instantly melts away any lingering physical tension or mental exhaustion. Down here, far beneath the cold, fog-covered streets of Salzburg, the outside world and its frantic pace have ceased to exist entirely, replaced by a timeless sanctuary of absolute peace and well-being. The massive oak barrels standing silently in the deep shadows seem to nod in approval of this slow ancient ritual, their old staves holding the quiet memory of 100 winters past. Every movement and every sound in this hidden chamber is unhurried, from the slow pulsing of the red-hot embers inside the stove to the gentle musical clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim. This soft, reassuring rhythm acts as a steady heartbeat for the room, grounding your consciousness and inviting your mind to completely let go of the waking world, surrendering to the deep, restorative embrace of this perfect historical haven. The gentle, soothing motion of the wooden spoon continues to create long, slow waves across the deep, crimson surface of the wine, reflecting the eternal patience of the tavern keeper. Sitting on his low stool in the absolute center of the stone cellar, his movements have become entirely automatic, a beautiful extension of his inner calm that flows directly into the heavy pewter pot. The liquid within has achieved a perfect state of concentrated richness, his dark body holding on to the steady, unhurried warmth of the small iron stove, with an effortless grace that only comes from hours of careful preparation. The plump orange peels, having surrendered every bit of their bright citrus soul to the robust vintage, float lazily like tiny golden boats in a vast dark sea, their edges softly glowing under the warm amber light of the dying candle. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks glide through the liquid with a quiet majesty, their inner fibers fully expanded and weeping sweet woody oils that create a shimmering iridescent film on the surface of the brew. The whole cloves, small and dark, bob in perfect rhythm with the spoon, their fiery, exotic scent now beautifully rounded and completely integrated into the deeper, fruitier base of the Salzburg harvest. The aroma that fills the barrel-vaulted space is nothing short of a sanctuary for the senses, a dense, intoxicating cloud of pure winter comfort that completely blocks out the cold, harsh realities of the outer world. It is a fragrance that carries the weight of history, a beautiful reminder of a time when life moved by the gentle pulse of the seasons and the simple comfort of a warm hearth on an autumn night. Sleepy History with Tales combines the power of AI to reimagine fictional historical tales, bringing peace, relaxation, and positive emotional values to our listeners, allowing you to drift away into a world of absolute tranquility. The thick stone walls of the vault, built by master masons centuries ago, stand as a proud, unbreakable shield against the freezing fog that continues to settle over the winding cobblestone streets. Far above, go out ensuring that this small underground room remains entirely untouched by the passage of time. The long, dramatic shadows cast by the ancient masonry move with an almost imperceptible slowness, a visual representation of a world where all urgency has been completely erased and forgotten. The dusty glass of the old wine bottles in the dark corners catches the faint orange glow of the embers, shining like hidden stars in the deep stillness of the vault, guarding their precious contents for future winters. Down here in this perfect subterranean cocoon, there are no expectations to meet, no burdens to carry, and no rushing thoughts to disturb the absolute peace of your mind. There is only the soft, radiating warmth of the iron stove, the deeply comforting aroma of the simmering spices, and the heavy protective embrace of the ancient earth that surrounds you on all sides, guiding your spirit into a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The subtle, comforting shift of the glowing coals within the elevated iron stove produces a soft, almost imperceptible whisper that quickly dissolves into the heavy, profound silence of the ancient stone cellar. The tavern keeper, completely settled into his low wooden stool, maintains his smooth, hypnotic rhythm, guiding the broad wooden spoon through the rich dark crimson depths of the heavy pewter pot with an unhurried grace that seems to slow the very passage of time. The robust red wine has reached a state of perfect velvety concentration, its dark surface reflecting the warm amber and gold light of the candle, like a polished mirror hidden away from the chaotic outer world. The plump orange peels, having long since surrendered their bright, sun-soaked essential oils to the simmering vintage, glide lazily along the smooth metal walls, their deeply stained edges catching the flickering light with a warm stained glass brilliance. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks move in slow, majestic circles, their woody layers fully expanded and weeping an intricate, comforting sweetness that weaves itself seamlessly through the robust, fruity foundation of the local Salzburg harvest. The whole cloves, small and star-shaped, bob quietly in the gentle currents created by the spoon, their sharp, exotic fragrance now perfectly rounded, softened, and fully integrated into the grand, comforting tapestry of the warming brew. The thick, aromatic steam rises in a steady, unbroken column, lifting the rich, festive essence of the mulled wine directly into the high curved arches of the barrel-vaulted ceiling, where it forms a soft, protective canopy of warmth that hangs suspended in the quiet air. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every corner of the subterranean sanctuary, creating an impenetrable barrier that shuts out the cold, damp autumn night and the freezing fog that crawls through the cobblestone streets far above. Down here, far beneath the bustling city, the frantic pace of modern life has completely ceased to exist, replaced by a timeless haven of absolute peace, security, and physical well-being. The massive oak casks lining the dark masonry stand, like silent supportive guardians of this nightly ritual, their aged wood holding the quiet memories of 100 winters past, adding a faint comforting earthiness to the rich olfactory profile of the room. Every physical element within this hidden space works in perfect harmony to ground the senses. The dry warmth radiating from the iron stove cradles the body, while the steady musical clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim acts as a soothing anchor for the mind. Go out, gently clearing away the final remnants of mental fatigue. There are no expectations to meet in this historical haven, no deadlines to chase, and no burdens to carry. There is only the slow, beautiful alchemy of fire, wood, fruit, and spice working together to create an atmosphere of pure, unadulterated comfort. As the tavern keeper continues his faithful, silent vigil over the simmering pot, the long shadows on the rough-hewn stone walls remain perfectly still, ensuring that you are entirely safe, deeply protected, and free to surrender your consciousness to the heavy, restorative embrace of a serene and blissful slumber. The gentle rhythmic scraping of the wooden spoon against the bottom of the pewter pot echoes softly through the ancient stone cellar, providing a steady heartbeat for the silent room. The tavern keeper, completely lost in his timeless craft, continues to guide the dark crimson liquid in slow, predictable circles, his face illuminated by the soft, warm glow of the dying candle. Within the pot, the mulled wine has attained a state of exquisite full-bodied richness, its surface shimmering with microscopic droplets of spice oils that catch the amber light from the iron stove beneath. The orange peels have expanded fully, having absorbed the dark vintage until they are completely heavy and soft, drifting lazily through the liquid like silent autumn leaves on a slow-moving river. The long cinnamon sticks glide gracefully alongside them, their outer bark completely loosened by the hours of steady heat, releasing a constant stream of deep, sweet warmth into the fragrant brew. The whole cloves, too, have settled into a quiet rhythm, their dark, star-shaped bodies spinning gently in the subtle currents created by the keeper's hand, casting a deep, exotic aroma that defines the festive atmosphere of the entire chamber. The thick, fragrant steam continues to pour out of the pot in a steady, unbroken stream, rising lazily toward the high, curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it blankets the cool stones in a layer of pure, comforting warmth. This heavy, fragrant cloud completely fills the subterranean space, driving away the last traces of the damp chill that lingers in the corners, and replacing it with a profound sense of physical comfort and absolute safety. Down here, deep below the heavy stone foundations of Salzburg, the cold autumn night has no power. The freezing fog that creeps through the dark alleys above cannot penetrate the thick limestone walls of this hidden sanctuary. The massive oak casks resting in the shadows seem to draw closer in the dim light, their old sturdy frames providing a comforting boundary that seals the room off from the passage of time and the chaotic energy of the outer world. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet, easy reverence, his movements completely unhurried, reflecting a deep understanding that true comfort cannot be rushed and must be allowed to develop at its own natural pace. The soft metallic ring of the spoon against the heavy pewter rim sounds at regular intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that acts as an anchor for the mind, allowing all your remaining thoughts to dissolve into the quiet dark. In this peaceful, historic space, there are no worries to hold on to, no schedules to maintain, and no expectations to meet. There is only the gentle warmth of the fire, the rich, soothing aroma of the simmering wine, and the heavy, protective silence of the ancient earth. Go out guiding you softly into a state of total, blissful rest. The absolute silence of the deep subterranean chamber feels completely solid now, an impenetrable barrier that isolates this tiny pocket of the 16th century from the entire outside world. The tavern keeper, leaning slightly forward on his low three-legged wooden stool, maintains his steady, unwavering focus on the heavy pewter pot resting atop the iron stove. His weathered hand, calloused by years of honest labor and seasoned by the cold Alpine winters, guides the thick wooden spoon with an automatic fluid motion that has become entirely second nature over the long hours of the night. Within the broad, dark vessel, the local Salzburg red wine has long since ceased to be a mere liquid. It has transformed into a rich, velvety elixir of pure comfort, thick with the concentrated essence of the grapes and the deep, complex souls of the spices that have completely melted into its crimson depths. The orange peels have lost every bit of their original structural stiffness, floating now as completely soft, heavy ribbons of dark amber that ride the slow, circular currents created by the turning spoon. Their bright outer skins completely stained by the dark vintage until they look like fragments of ancient silk. The long cinnamon sticks glide smoothly beneath the surface, rolling lazily over one another at the bottom of the pot, sending up tiny microscopic plumes of sweet aromatic oils that shimmer across the surface of the liquid like oil on water, catching the soft flickering light of the single tallow candle. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped bob quietly in the spaces between the larger ingredients, their dark, dried forms now plump and swollen with the warm wine, continuously releasing their sharp, grounding fragrance into the heavy air of the cellar. The steam that rises from the pot is thick, white, and completely saturated with the warm, festive aroma of the harvest, climbing in a slow, majestic column straight up to the center of the stone barrel vault, where it spreads out along the ancient mortar lines like a gentle protective mist. This fragrant canopy hangs low over the entire room, radiating a deep physical warmth that instantly counters the natural damp chill of the underground stone walls, creating a perfectly balanced microclimate where the air feels incredibly clean, dry, and nourishing to inhale. Down here, deep beneath the heavy foundations of the bustling city of Salzburg, the frantic passage of mechanical time loses all its meaning and power. There are no ticking clocks to measure the fleeting seconds, no iron bells ringing out to demand your attention, and no urgent schedules to disrupt the perfect restorative quiet of the space. The massive oak casks that line the dark, shadowy corners of the vault stand completely motionless, their thick iron bands and heavy wood staves holding the quiet memories of countless summers past, serving as silent ancient guardians of this nightly ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet, meditative reverence, his movements entirely unhurried, reflecting a deep instinctual understanding that the truest comfort and the deepest healing cannot be rushed, but must be allowed to settle over the spirit at its own slow, natural pace. The soft, rhythmic sound of the wooden spoon brushing against the smooth interior walls of the pewter pot rings out at perfect, predictable intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that acts as a physical anchor for the mind. Go out gently, drawing your consciousness away from the lingering anxieties of the waking world. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful haven, the rich spiced vapor enters your chest, spreading a gentle radiant warmth through your body that relaxes every muscle, eases the tension in your shoulders, and invites your spirit to surrender to the heavy, protective silence of the ancient earth. The flickering candle on the wooden crate beside the stove burns with a steady, quiet intensity, its golden flame dancing softly in response to the gentle currents of warm air, casting long, peaceful shadows that stretch across the hard-packed earth floor and climb up the rough-hewn stone masonry. In this sacred space of historical tranquility, you are completely safe, entirely protected from the cold, damp autumn fog that creeps through the dark cobblestone streets far above, and absolutely free to let go of every earthly worry, drifting deeper and deeper into a state of total, blissful, and restorative slumber. The deep, continuous rhythm of the heavy wooden spoon moving through the dark crimson pool inside the pewter pot creates a quiet, mesmerizing symphony that fills the entire subterranean vault. The tavern keeper, completely at ease in the heavy silence of the night, remains seated on his low wooden stool, his hand moving with a smooth, automatic precision that has been perfected through hours of quiet vigil. Within the wide mouth of the metal vessel, the old Salzburg red wine has achieved a rare, velvety perfection, its surface reflecting the warm, flickering golden light of the single tallow candle, like a deep, mysterious mirror hidden away from the world above. The plump orange peels have surrendered every drop of their bright, sun-kissed citrus oils, floating now as heavy, completely saturated ribbons of amber that glide lazily along the smooth contours of the pewter walls, their edges stained a deep purple by the rich vintage. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks roll in slow, majestic circles near the bottom of the pot, their woody layers fully expanded by the steady, unhurried heat of the iron stove, continuously releasing an intricate, comforting sweetness that forms a solid foundation for the entire aromatic experience. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped, bob quietly in the gentle warm currents. Their exotic grounding fragrance now thoroughly rounded and beautifully woven into the deeper, fruitier base of the harvest wine. The steam rises from the simmering brew in a thick, magnificent column, ascending slowly toward the high, curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it creates a soft, visible blanket of pure comfort that hangs suspended in the quiet air of the cellar. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every corner of the stone sanctuary, absorbing the natural dampness of the earth and replacing it with a dry, deeply penetrating warmth that cradles the body and invites the mind to let go of its heavy burdens. Down here, far beneath the freezing fog and the dark cobblestone alleys of Salzburg, the passage of mechanical time has lost all its power. There are no bells to mark the passing hours, no demands to meet, and no distractions to break the profound protective silence of the room. The massive oak casks standing in the deep shadows remain perfectly still, their thick wooden staves and rusted iron hoops holding the quiet memories of countless ancient harvests, acting as silent, supportive guardians of this timeless ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet reverence, his callous fingers relaxed, completely content to let the simple alchemy of heat, fruit, and spice take all the time it needs to soothe the soul. The soft, predictable clink of the wood against the pewter rim rings out at regular intervals, a familiar and reassuring melody that serves as an anchor for the spirit, guiding your consciousness away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and drawing you deeper into a state of absolute unshakable tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful haven, the rich, spiced vapor enters your lungs, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, eases the tension in your mind, and promises a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The tiny embers inside the small iron stove breathe with a deep, steady crimson glow, casting a beautiful soft amber warmth across the hard-packed earth and river stones beneath the tavern keeper's boots. The silence within this ancient subterranean sanctuary has grown so heavy, so incredibly dense and pure, that it feels like a physical blanket wrapping around the entire room, sealing it off completely from the passage of centuries. The keeper remains perfectly still on his low, three-legged wooden stool, his weathered hand guiding the broad wooden spoon through the rich dark red wine with a slow, hypnotic, and unwavering rhythm that has not changed since the early hours of the autumn evening. Within the heavy pewter pot, the magnificent alchemy of the 1555 Alpine vintage has reached a state of absolute, concentrated perfection, turning the liquid into a thick, velvety elixir that shimmers beautifully under the soft, flickering light of the single tallow candle. The plum orange peels, completely heavy and saturated with the dark wine, glide lazily along the smooth metal walls, their bright outer skins now completely softened and stained into a deep, glowing amber that looks like precious stained glass under the soft firelight. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks roll in slow, majestic circles near the bottom of the vessel, their woody layers fully expanded by the steady, unhurried heat, continuously releasing an intricate, comforting sweetness that forms a solid foundation for the entire aromatic experience. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped, bob quietly in the gentle, warm currents created by the turning spoon. Their sharp, exotic fragrance now thoroughly rounded, softened, and beautifully woven into the deeper, fruitier base of the harvest wine. The steam rises from the simmering brew in a thick, magnificent column, ascending slowly toward the high curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it creates a soft, visible blanket of pure comfort that hangs suspended in the quiet air of the cellar. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every corner of the stone sanctuary, absorbing the natural dampness of the earth and replacing it with a dry, deeply penetrating warmth that cradles the body and invites the mind to let go of its final attachments to the waking world. Down here, far beneath the freezing fog and the dark cobblestone alleys of Salzburg, The passage of mechanical time has lost all its power. There are no bells to mark the passing hours, no demands to meet, and no distractions to break the profound protective silence of the room. The massive oak casks standing in the deep shadows remain perfectly still, their thick wooden staves and rusted iron hoops holding the quiet memories of countless ancient harvests, acting as silent supportive guardians of this timeless ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet reverence, his calloused fingers relaxed, completely content to let the simple alchemy of heat, fruit, and spice take all the time it needs to soothe the soul. The soft, predictable clink of the wood against the pewter rim rings out at regular intervals, a familiar and reassuring melody that serves as an anchor for the spirit, guiding your consciousness away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and drawing you deeper into a state of absolute unshakable tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful haven, the rich spiced vapor enters your lungs, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, eases the tension in your mind, and promises a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The soft golden flame of the tallow candle gives a tiny silent flicker as it burns down a fraction of an inch, casting long peaceful shadows that stretch lazily across the ancient limestone arches of the subterranean vault. The tavern keeper, completely anchored in his calm and meditative vigil, does not break his posture or his pace, continuing to guide the heavy wooden spoon through the rich, dark crimson pool of the mulled wine with a steady, hypnotic fluidness. Within the deep pewter pot, the beautiful alchemy of the Alpine harvest has achieved a rare state of absolute syrup-like concentration, its velvety surface reflecting the deep orange glow of the iron stove below like a dark polished stone hidden in the quiet depths of the earth. The plump orange peels, now thoroughly saturated and heavy with the robust red vintage, glide smoothly along the metal walls, releasing their very last microscopic droplets of bright citrus oil into the fragrant warming brew. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks move in slow, majestic circles, their woody bark completely unrolled by the hours of steady, unhurried heat, continuously weeping an intricate, comforting sweetness that balances the deep, robust tannins of the Salzburg grapes. The whole clothes, small and perfectly star-shaped bob, quietly in the gentle currents created by the turning spoon, their sharp exotic fragrance now completely rounded, softened and fully integrated into the grand festive tapestry of the warming liquid. The thick aromatic steam rises from the simmering brew in a steady magnificent column, ascending slowly toward the high curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it forms a soft visible blanket of pure comfort that hangs suspended in the quiet air of the cellar. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every single corner of the stone sanctuary, absorbing the natural damp chill of the subterranean earth and replacing it with a dry, deeply penetrating warmth that cradles your body and invites your mind to let go of its heavy burdens. Down here, far beneath the freezing fog and the dark cobblestone alleys of Salzburg, the passage of mechanical time has lost all its meaning and power. There are no bells to mark the passing hours, no frantic demands to meet, and no distractions to break the profound protective silence of the room. The massive oak casks standing silently in the deep shadows remain perfectly still, their thick wooden staves and heavy iron hoops holding the quiet memories of 100 winters past, acting as silent, supportive guardians of this timeless ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a deep, quiet reverence, his calloused fingers relaxed on the handle, completely content to let the simple alchemy of heat, fruit, and spice take all the time it needs to soothe the soul and ease the spirit. The soft, predictable clink of the wood against the pewter rim rings out through the chamber at regular, rhythmic intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that serves as a physical anchor for the mind. Go out gently. drawing your consciousness away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and drawing you deeper into a state of absolute, unshakable tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful haven, the rich spiced vapor enters your chest, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, eases the tension in your shoulders, and promises a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The ancient stone walls of the subterranean vault remain completely motionless, holding the deep, heavy silence of the mid-16th century within their massive, dry limestone blocks. The tavern keeper, completely adjusted to the slow, hypnotic passage of the night, sits quietly upon his low, three-legged wooden stool, his weathered right hand maintaining an unhurried, perfectly circular motion with the long wooden spoon. Within the wide, smooth mouth of the heavy pewter pot, the magnificent Salzburg red wine has achieved a rare velvet-like thickness, its dark crimson surface reflecting the soft, warm golden glow of the single tallow candle like a deep polished sheet of obsidian hidden away from the world. The plump orange peels, having surrendered every single drop of their bright, sun-soaked essential oils to the simmering vintage during the long hours of the evening, float contentedly as heavy, completely saturated ribbons of amber that glide lazily along the smooth metal walls. Their rough edges stained a deep purple by the rich, historic harvest. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks roll in slow, majestic circles near the bottom of the vessel, their woody layers fully expanded by the steady radiating heat of the small iron stove beneath, continuously releasing an intricate, comforting sweetness that forms a solid, go-out reassuring foundation for the entire aromatic experience. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped, bob quietly in the gentle, warm current created by the turning spoon, their sharp, exotic, and fiery fragrance now thoroughly rounded, softened, and beautifully woven into the deeper, fruitier base of the heating wine. The steam rises from the simmering brew in a thick, magnificent, and lazy column, ascending slowly toward the high curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it creates a soft, visible blanket of pure comfort that hangs suspended in the quiet air of the cellar. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every corner of the stone sanctuary, absorbing the natural dampness of the subterranean earth and replacing it with a dry, deeply penetrating warmth that cradles the physical body and invites the tired mind to let go of its final attachments to the waking world above. Down here, far beneath the freezing autumn fog and the dark cobblestone alleys of Salzburg, the passage of mechanical time has lost all its power and significance. There are no church bells to mark the passing hours, no frantic human demands to meet, and no noisy distractions to break the profound protective silence of the room. The massive oak casks, standing silently in the deep dark shadows, remain perfectly still, their thick wooden staves and heavy iron hoops holding the quiet memories of countless ancient harvests, acting as silent, supportive guardians of this timeless nightly ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet, meditative reverence, his callous fingers relaxed, completely content to let the simple alchemy of heat, fruit, and spice take all the time it needs to soothe the soul. The soft, predictable clink of the wood against the pewter rim rings out through the chamber at regular, rhythmic intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that serves as an anchor for the spirit. Go out guiding your consciousness further away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and drawing you deeper into a state of absolute unshakable tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful haven, the rich, spiced vapor enters your lungs, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, eases the tension in your mind, and promises a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The steady amber radiance emanating from the iron stove deepens its hold on the ancient stone vault, casting long, peaceful geometric patterns across the dry limestone blocks. The tavern keeper, completely unhurried, anchors his frame against the sturdy three-legged wooden stool, his calloused hand maintaining the slow, rhythmic, and hypnotic rotation of the broad wooden spoon through the deep pewter pot. Within the vessel, the local Salzburg red wine has attained a state of perfect velvet-like density, its dark crimson surface completely smooth except for the gentle eddies created by the continuous mindful stirring. The plump orange peels, entirely saturated and heavy with the robust vintage, float lazily along the metal walls, their outer skins fully surrendered to the liquid, glowing like precious amber under the soft warm illumination of the single tallow candle. The long cinnamon sticks glide through the depths with a quiet majesty, their woody layers completely expanded by the hours of steady heat, continuously weeping an intricate, comforting sweetness that forms a solid foundation for the entire aromatic experience of the chamber. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped, bob gently in the warm currents. Their exotic fiery fragrance, now thoroughly rounded, softened, and beautifully integrated into the deeper, fruitier base of the historic harvest. The steam rises from the simmering brew in a thick, magnificent column, ascending slowly toward the high curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it creates a soft, visible blanket of pure comfort that hangs suspended in the quiet air of the cellar. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every corner of the stone sanctuary, absorbing the natural dampness of the earth and replacing it with a dry, deeply penetrating warmth that cradles the physical body and invites the tired mind to let go of its final attachments to the waking world. Down here, far beneath the freezing autumn fog and the dark cobblestone alleys of Salzburg, the passage of mechanical time has lost all its power. There are no bells to mark the passing hours, no demands to meet, and no distractions to break the profound protective silence of the room. The massive oak casks, standing silently in the deep shadows, remain perfectly still, their thick wooden staves and heavy iron hoops holding the quiet memories of countless ancient harvests, acting as silent, supportive guardians of this timeless ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet reverence, his calloused fingers relaxed, completely content to let the simple alchemy of heat, fruit, and spice take all the time it needs to soothe the soul. The soft, predictable clink of the wood against the pewter rim rings out through the chamber at regular rhythmic intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that serves as an anchor for the spirit. Go out guiding your consciousness away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and drawing you deeper into a state of absolute, unshakable tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful haven, the rich, spiced vapor enters your lungs, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, eases the tension in your mind, and promises a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The profound peace of the subterranean chamber remains completely unbroken as the small iron stove maintains its steady, radiant warmth against the old limestone floor. The tavern keeper, completely relaxed and motionless upon his low three-legged wooden stool, guides the broad wooden spoon through the dark crimson pool of the mulled wine with a slow, hypnotic, and perfectly circular motion. Within the heavy pewter pot, the magnificent alchemy of the local Salzburg harvest has reached a state of deep velvety concentration, its surface reflecting the warm amber and gold light of the single tallow candle, like a polished mirror hidden away from the world. The plump orange peels, having long since surrendered their bright sun-soaked citrus oils to the simmering vintage, glide lazily along the smooth metal walls, their deeply stained edges catching the flickering light with a warm stained glass brilliance that speaks of old autumn days. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks move in slow, majestic circles, their woody layers fully expanded and weeping an intricate, comforting sweetness that weaves itself seamlessly through the robust, fruity foundation of the vintage. The whole cloves, small and star-shaped, bob quietly in the gentle currents created by the spoon, their sharp, exotic fragrance now perfectly rounded, softened and fully integrated into the grand comforting tapestry of the warming brew. The thick, aromatic steam rises in a steady, unbroken column, lifting the rich festive essence of the mulled wine directly into the high curved arches of the barrel-vaulted ceiling, where it forms a soft protective canopy of warmth that hangs suspended in the quiet air. This dense fragrant cloud completely fills every corner of the subterranean sanctuary, creating an impenetrable barrier that shuts out the cold, damp autumn night and the freezing fog that crawls through the cobblestone streets far above. Down here, far beneath the bustling city, the frantic pace of the outer world has completely ceased to exist, replaced by a timeless haven of absolute peace, security, and physical well-being that invites the spirit to rest. The massive oak casks lining the dark masonry stand like silent, supportive guardians of this nightly ritual, their aged wood holding the quiet memories of 100 winters past, adding a faint, comforting earthiness to the rich olfactory profile of the room. Every physical element within this hidden space works in perfect harmony to ground the senses. The dry warmth radiating from the iron stove cradles the body, while the steady musical clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim acts as a soothing anchor for the mind. Go out gently, clearing away the final remnants of mental fatigue. There are no expectations to meet in this historical haven, no deadlines to chase, and no burdens to carry. There is only the slow, beautiful alchemy of fire, wood, fruit, and spice working together to create an atmosphere of pure, unadulterated comfort. As the tavern keeper continues his faithful, silent vigil over the simmering pot, the long shadows on the rough-hewn stone walls remain perfectly still, ensuring that you are entirely safe, deeply protected, and free to surrender your consciousness to the heavy, restorative embrace of a serene and blissful slumber. The ancient stone masonry of the barrel-vaulted ceiling holds the rising, fragrant heat with an enduring patience that has survived the turning of centuries, keeping the atmosphere inside this subterranean chamber perfectly consistent and warm. The tavern keeper, completely enveloped in the quietude of his evening task, remains comfortably balanced on his heavy three-legged stool, his calloused right hand maintaining the identical soothing circular trajectory with the carved wooden spoon. Within the broad dark mouth of the heavy pewter pot, the deep red vintage from the local Salzburg hillsides has transformed into a rich, syrup-like concentrate, its glossy surface dancing with the warm golden reflections of the long tallow candle. The plump orange peels, now completely waterlogged and heavy with the spiced wine, glide lazily through the dark currents, their bright citrus skin fully darkened to a beautiful maroon that matches the velvety liquid perfectly. Alongside them, the long cinnamon sticks roll over one another at the very bottom of the pot, their coarse fibers thoroughly softened and saturated by the hours of steady, unhurried heat, continuously releasing a sweet woody essence that forms the aromatic foundation of the room. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped bob, gently near the center of the whirlpool, their sharp exotic oils, completely rounded and softened by the slow brewing process until they provide only a deep grounding warmth to the festive air. The white, heavy steam rises in a magnificent continuous column, lifting the rich perfume of the mulled wine directly into the high arches of the limestone vault, where it condenses into a soft, visible blanket of absolute peace. This fragrant canopy stays low, trapping the gentle warmth of the iron stove and reflecting it downward toward the dry, hard-packed earth floor, turning the entire cellar into a cozy, impenetrable bubble of comfort. Down here, deep below the freezing fog and the dark cobblestone streets of the old city, the passage of mechanical time has completely lost its power. There are no grandfather clocks to measure the fleeting seconds, no iron church bells to disrupt the silence, and no worldly responsibilities to disturb the deep peace of your spirit. The massive oak casks lining the dark masonry stand like silent, ancient guardians of this nightly ritual, their thick wooden staves and heavy iron hoops holding the quiet memories of 100 autumn harvests, adding a faint, comforting scent of old oak to the room. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet, meditative reverence, his movements entirely relaxed and fluid, showing a deep understanding that true comfort cannot be rushed and must be allowed to settle into the soul at its own natural pace. The soft, predictable clink of the wooden spoon against the smooth pewter rim rings out at regular rhythmic intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that acts as a physical anchor for the wandering mind. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful historical haven, the rich spiced vapor enters your chest, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, clears away the final remnants of mental fatigue, and invites your spirit to surrender completely to the heavy, protective silence of the ancient earth, guiding you softly into a state of total, blissful, and restorative slumber. The profound, heavy quietude of the deep underground sanctuary becomes even more pronounced as the small glowing embers inside the iron stove settle further into a deep crimson bed of ash. The tavern keeper, completely unhurried and perfectly centered within the ancient space, does not shift his position on the low three-legged wooden stool, his weathered hand continuing its slow, hypnotic, and circular movement with the long wooden spoon. Within the wide, dark mouth of the heavy pewter pot, the beautiful Salzburg red wine has achieved a state of concentrated velvety perfection, its glossy surface capturing the warm golden light of the single tallow candle, like a smooth sheet of dark obsidian hidden away from the world above. The plum orange peels, having long since surrendered every drop of their bright sun-soaked essential oils during the long hours of the evening, float contentedly as heavy, completely saturated ribbons of amber that glide lazily along the smooth metal walls, their rough edges stained a deep purple by the rich, historic harvest. Beside them, the long cinnamon sticks roll in slow, majestic circles near the bottom of the vessel, their woody layers fully expanded by the steady radiating heat of the iron stove beneath, continuously releasing an intricate, comforting sweetness that forms a solid, go-out reassuring foundation for the entire aromatic experience of the room. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped, bob quietly in the gentle warm currents created by the turning spoon, their sharp, exotic, and fiery fragrance, now thoroughly rounded, softened, and beautifully woven into the deeper, fruitier base of the heating wine. The steam rises from the simmering brew in a thick, magnificent, and lacy column, ascending slowly toward the high, curved masonry of the barrel vault, where it creates a soft, visible blanket of pure comfort that hangs suspended in the quiet air of the cellar. This dense, fragrant cloud completely fills every single corner of the stone sanctuary, absorbing the natural dampness of the subterranean earth and replacing it with a dry, deeply penetrating warmth that cradles the physical body and invites the tired mind to let go of its final attachments to the waking world. Down here, far beneath the freezing autumn fog and the dark cobblestone alleys of Salzburg, the passage of mechanical time has lost all its power and significance. There are no church bells to mark the passing hours, no frantic human demands to meet, and no noisy distractions to break the profound protective silence of the room. The massive oak casks standing silently in the deep, dark shadows remain perfectly still, their thick wooden staves and heavy iron hoops holding the quiet memories of countless ancient harvests, acting as silent supportive guardians of this timeless nightly ritual of rest. The keeper handles the worn wood of the spoon with a quiet, meditative reverence, his calloused fingers relaxed, completely content to let the simple alchemy of heat, fruit, and spice take all the time it needs to soothe the soul. The soft, predictable clink of the wood against the pewter rim rings out through the chamber at regular rhythmic intervals, a familiar and deeply reassuring melody that serves as an anchor for the spirit. Go out guiding your consciousness further away from the chaotic pace of the outer world and drawing you deeper into a state of absolute, unshakable tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take in this peaceful heaven, the rich spiced vapor enters your lungs, spreading a gentle internal warmth that relaxes your muscles, eases the tension in your mind, and promises a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber. The deep, resonant silence of the underground cellar acts like a heavy velvet curtain that completely separates this sanctuary from the cold, turbulent currents of the outer world. Within the high, barrel-vaulted stone arches, the air remains perfectly still, held in a state of suspended animation by the constant, gentle radiating heat of the small iron stove. The tavern keeper, appearing as a permanent fixture of this 1555 historical scene, sits on his low, three-legged stool with an expression of profound, quiet contentment, his right hand moving with a slow, deliberate, and hypnotic rhythm that guides the wooden spoon through the dark, fragrant depths of the pewter pot. This action, repeated countless times throughout the night, has transformed the local Salzburg red wine into a thick syrup-like elixir, a testament to the patient, unhurried alchemy of the traditional craft. The surface of the wine is a deep, impenetrable crimson, reflecting the soft, warm golden glow of the tallow candle like a dark liquid mirror that draws the observer's eyes deeper and deeper into its depths. The orange peels, now completely saturated and heavy with the spice vintage, move with a languid grace along the interior walls of the pot, their once bright skins now deep rich mahogany, releasing their last infinitesimal traces of citrus oil into the brew. The long cinnamon sticks, having long since surrendered their rigidity to the steady heat, glide smoothly and silently through the liquid, their woody layers fully expanded and weaving an intricate, soothing sweetness that grounds the entire aromatic profile of the room. The whole cloves, small and perfectly star-shaped bob in the gentle whirlpools created by the spoon, their sharp, exotic essence now completely tempered and woven into the fruity, complex base of the wine, creating a smell that is at once intoxicating, warm, and deeply comforting. A thick white steam rises in an unbroken, majestic plume, climbing slowly toward the high ceiling, where it pulls into a soft, protective canopy, insulating the cellar against the damp, biting chill of the autumn night that persists in the world above. Down here, beneath the heavy, solid foundations of the city, there is no need to acknowledge the passage of hours. The iron bells that toll for the citizens above are muffled and distant, reaching this space only as a faint vibration in the air that serves to reinforce the absolute, secure isolation of the room. The massive oak barrels stacked in the shadows are silent witnesses to this nightly ritual, their aging wood adding a subtle grounding scent of earth and tradition to the air, reinforcing the feeling that you are entirely protected, entirely safe, and entirely free to let go of every burden you brought with you. The keeper's movements are entirely devoid of urgency, a masterclass in the beauty of simplicity and the power of patience, and every gentle metallic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim rings out as a rhythmic, soothing heartbeat for the vault. This sound serves as an anchor, a steady, predictable point for the mind to focus upon, helping to dissolve the last lingering traces of mental activity and inviting a state of complete, unshakable tranquility. As the candle burns slowly down, the light in the room remains a warm, unchanging ember, casting long, peaceful shadows that climb the ancient stone walls and hold the cellar in a state of eternal gentle grace. Every breath you take is filled with the warm, spiced vapor of the wine, a sensation that spreads a slow, relaxing heat throughout your entire body, melting away the tension in your shoulders, quieting the thoughts in your head, and preparing your spirit for the deepest, most restorative rest you have known in a long, long time. There is no expectation of movement, no demand for action, and no desire for anything beyond this exact moment in this exact place, where the fire, the spice, and the stone work together to hold you in an embrace of perfect, lasting peace. You are entirely held, completely at ease, and ready to drift into the deepest reaches of a blissful, dreamless slumber protected from the cold by the thick walls, the warm hearth, and the timeless, unwavering rhythm of the tavern keeper's quiet, solitary labor. The immense crushing weight of the earth above the vaulted ceiling serves only to amplify the sense of absolute safety within this hidden sanctuary, as if the very mountains surrounding Salzburg have leaned in to protect this singular quiet room. The tavern keeper, appearing as a timeless, ageless guardian of the hearth, continues his meditative practice, his hand moving in that slow, circular, and perfectly consistent rhythm that has defined the night. The pewter pot, now reflecting a deep, almost black crimson hue under the flickering, warm glow of the tallow candle, holds the mulled wine in a state of perfect syrupy maturity. The orange peels have completely transformed their original structure, long since softened into tender glowing ribbons that drift along the curved walls of the metal vessel like soft embers of autumn light. The cinnamon sticks, now long and supple, glide through the warming liquid with a fluid, silent grace, continuously releasing their sweet, woody essence into the depths of the brew, ensuring that every drop is saturated with the complex, comforting flavors of the harvest. The whole cloves, small, dark, and perfectly dispersed, bob in the gentle swirling currents with a quiet persistence, their sharp, spicy nature fully mellowed and balanced by the long, unhurried exposure to the low heat of the iron stove. The aroma filling the vault is thick and intoxicating, a dense physical presence that seems to have a texture of its own, wrapping around the senses like a heavy, soft, and protective blanket that effectively insulates you from the cold, damp, and unforgiving world above. Every movement the keeper makes is deliberate and entirely devoid of urgency, his focus so singular and so complete that the rest of the world has ceased to exist, leaving only this small, warm, and perfectly balanced space. The soft metallic ring of the wooden spoon against the side of the pot occurs at such regular, predictable intervals that it acts as a secondary heartbeat for the room, a rhythmic, soothing pulse that synchronizes perfectly with your own breathing. Each sound is a small reinforcing note of stability, reminding your mind that there is nothing to fear, nothing to do, and nowhere else to be. The massive oak barrels in the background, standing in the deep protective shadows, seem to lean slightly closer to the glow of the stove, their seasoned wood soaking up the warmth and providing a silent, sturdy, and comforting boundary for the room. The flickering flame of the candle casts long, stretching shadows that climb the ancient uneven stones of the vault, creating a visual rhythm that matches the slow stir of the spoon, further lulling your consciousness into a state of deep, receptive calm. As you inhale the rich spiced vapor, you feel a profound sense of relief, as if the very air of the cellar is working to draw the tension from your body, replacing it with the heavy golden warmth of the wine and the deep silent strength of the earth itself. There is no expectation here, no past to haunt you, and no future to worry about. There is only the present in all its simplicity and warmth, and the absolute freedom to let go of every thought. The keeper's posture, slumped slightly forward in a position of complete honest relaxation, mirrors your own, inviting you to lower your guard entirely and surrender to the weight of your own fatigue. The air feels cleaner here, purified by the heat of the stove and the subtle earthly scents of the cellar, and each breath is a deep, nourishing draught that draws you further into the quiet. You are entirely cocooned, protected by the thick stone walls that have stood for centuries, by the quiet, dedicated presence of the keeper, and by the ancient, comforting ritual of the hearth. There is a profound sense of homecoming in this darkness, a realization that all you ever needed was this stillness, this warmth, and the permission to simply stop trying. As the night deepens, the world outside is forgotten, and you are left with nothing but the soft, rhythmic clinking of the spoon, the gentle radiating heat of the stove, and the invitation to drift into a state of complete, unshakable, and restorative slumber, knowing that in this place, at this time, you are safe, you are held, and you are entirely at peace. The profound, heavy silence of the underground sanctuary remains absolute, a solid and impenetrable fortress that guards this moment of rest against the chaotic, shifting tides of the world beyond the thick limestone walls. The tavern keeper, his silhouette appearing almost statuesque against the backdrop of the darkened stone, continues his meditative labor with a grace that has been polished by the passage of countless nights. His right hand, steady and unhurried, guides the long wooden spoon through the center of the pewter pot, creating a slow, mesmerizing vortex in the dark crimson depths of the mulled wine. This ritual is far more than a mere culinary task. It is an act of preservation, a gentle, sustained effort to hold the warmth and the peace in place. Within the pot, the liquid has achieved a deep, velvety consistency, its surface now smooth and dark, reflecting the orange glow of the stove with a richness that is both comforting and hypnotic. The orange peels, completely soft and swollen with the essence of the wine, drift along the curved metal interior like fragments of sunset. Their edges stain a deep, resonant purple. The cinnamon sticks, long and supple, roll lazily over one another at the bottom, their woody fibers having fully yielded to the low, steady heat, releasing a constant sweet spice aroma that anchors the entire room in a sense of timeless comfort. The whole cloves, small and perfectly placed, bob in the currents like tiny stars, their fiery, exotic scent now perfectly integrated into the base, providing a deep grounding foundation for the room's atmosphere. The white, fragrant steam rises in a single unwavering plume, climbing high into the vaulted ceiling where it spreads out to form a protective insulating layer, keeping the cellar dry, warm, and perfectly balanced. This cloud of spice and warmth is a physical manifestation of safety, a barrier against the cold, damp, and encroaching fog of the autumn night that clings to the streets far above. Down here, the very concept of time has been rendered irrelevant. There is no ticking clock to measure your existence, no impatient demands to meet, and no expectations of performance. You are permitted to simply exist within the sanctuary of the stone, held by the weight of the mountain and the gentle radiating heat of the hearth. The massive oak casks in the shadows remain as silent, stoic sentinels, their aged wood lending a faint, earthy, and reassuring scent to the air, reminding you of the long, slow cycles of nature that continue regardless of human toil. Every movement of the tavern keeper is a lesson in the power of patience, a reminder that the best things in life, the deepest comforts, the truest peace cannot be hurried, but must be nurtured with a quiet, steady hand. The rhythmic, soft, metallic ring of the spoon against the rim of the pot is a grounding melody, a heartbeat that you can follow, allowing your thoughts to slow down, to flatten, and eventually to dissolve completely into the dark, welcoming quiet of the room. As the tallow candle burns with a steady, golden focus, the shadows across the walls remain motionless, creating a landscape of stillness that beckons you to lower your guard and surrender the final remnants of your alertness. With every breath you take, the spiced air deepens your relaxation, traveling through your chest and spreading a warm, liquid calm through your limbs, silencing the noise of your mind and inviting a profound sense of well-being. There is a singular golden focus to this place, an absence of conflict that feels like a return to an essential, uncomplicated truth. You are shielded by the earth, warmed by the fire, and comforted by the rhythm. And in this state of total safety, there's nothing left to do but allow your eyes to grow heavy, your muscles to soften, and your spirit to drift into a deep, restorative, and beautiful slumber that will carry you through the night. The air inside the vaulted chamber has achieved a rare crystalline purity, thick with the lingering essence of cinnamon, clove, and the deeply oxidized fruit of the ancient Alpine harvest. Every breath is a slow, luxurious process, a silent exchange that binds the lungs to the warmth of the hearth and the grounding stability of the limestone surroundings. The tavern keeper, appearing now as little more than a silhouette defined by the golden rim light of the dying fire, persists in his rhythmic circular motion. The spoon cuts through the dark wine with a sound that is almost musical, a soft wooden thrum that vibrates against the metal of the pot and echoes barely audible against the distant unseen corners of the arched ceiling. Within the vessel, the wine is no longer merely heated. It is infused, transmuted into a dark, syrupy elixir that clings to the sides of the ladle like liquid velvet. The orange peels have completely relinquished their structure, settling into the depths as translucent amber ribbons that possess the weight and texture of soft aged leather. They are the anchors of the brew, holding the bright, sharp citrus top notes in a permanent golden suspension. The cinnamon, having surrendered its hard bark-like exterior to the prolonged, gentle simmering, now exists as a soft, fibrous presence at the bottom of the pot, continuously exuding a deep, woody sweetness that defines the room's atmosphere. The cloves, small and perfectly preserved in their spicy, dark form, act as the quiet pulses within the larger rhythm. Their pungent oils soften into a rich, earthy foundation that rounds out the sharper edges of the spiced wine. As the steam rises, a thick, white, and deliberate column, it clings to the cold stone of the ceiling, forming a layer of condensation that catches the flickering light of the single candle, turning the overhead masonry into a constellation of shimmering golden beads. This is the canopy of the sanctuary, a ceiling of warmth that keeps the cellar entirely insulated from the freezing, thin air of the mountain night above. Down here, the concept of urgency is an alien idea, a relic of a world that does not exist within these walls. The massive iron-banded casks, leaning against the damp, cold stone, act as the final absolute barriers between this room and the chaotic, shifting reality of the outside. They are full of the potential of 1,000 years. Their wood seasoned by the slow natural passage of time, providing a silent, immovable presence that supports the atmosphere of total safety. The keeper's movements are a masterclass in economy. Every action deliberate, every pause meaningful. He does not rush, he does not fret. He understands that the act of tending the fire and the wine is an act of tending to the soul itself. The rhythmic, predictable, and incredibly soothing sound of the spoon's impact against the pewter rim serves as a metronome for your own heartbeat, gradually slowing your internal pace to match the stillness of the cellar. With every passing moment, the boundaries between your physical body and the environment seem to blur. The warmth of the stove radiates through your chest, the silence of the stones grounds your mind, and the rich festive aroma of the wine fills the void where your thoughts once resided. There is a profound sense of having arrived at a destination long sought but never before named, a place of absolute, unassailable shelter. You are held in this space by the weight of the mountain and the grace of the fire, and in this cradle of stone and warmth, you are free to relinquish the final stubborn layers of consciousness. The candle, now burning with a low blue center flame, continues to cast long, unwavering shadows that dance against the rough-hewn masonry, a visual echo of the spoon's movement. It is a world reduced to the essentials: warmth, silence, the presence of the provider, and the sweet, heavy scent of comfort. There is no tomorrow to anticipate, no yesterday to mourn. There is only the slow, circular drift of the wine, the steady expansion of the warmth within your core, and the beautiful, inevitable surrender to a sleep that is as deep, as ancient, and as profoundly restorative as the cellar itself. You feel yourself slipping into the dark, quiet embrace of this room, your awareness receding like the tide from a shore, leaving behind only the peace of the earth and the absolute perfect certainty that you are safe, you are protected. and you are finally truly at rest. The silence in the cellar has deepened into something almost tangible, a soft velvet weight that presses gently against the stone walls and cushions the soul from any remaining friction of the outside world. The tavern keeper remains a stationary figure in the dim, amber light, his posture reflecting an absolute, unwavering dedication to the ritual. The wooden spoon, smooth from years of constant use and polished by the rich dark wine, continues its slow circular journey through the heavy pewter pot, a rhythmic, hypnotic motion that seems to slow the very heartbeat of the room. Within the pot, the mulled wine has matured into a substance of profound richness, its surface now a dark, glassy expanse of crimson that ripples only in response to the gentle guidance of the spoon. The orange peels have completely transformed their bright, acidic origins, long since replaced by a mellow, saturated sweetness that lends a golden, honeyed depth to the mixture. They drift along the interior curve of the metal with a languid grace, their edges soften and stain into a deep mahogany shade that speaks of patience and the long, slow passage of time. The cinnamon sticks, having surrendered the entirety of their woody spirit to the heat, now serve as silent, supple guides within the brew, continuously releasing a complex, earthy sweetness that blankets the air in a warm, festive perfume. The cloves, small, dark, and perfectly placed, provide a sharp, grounding contrast, their pungent oils harmonizing with the fruit to create a scent that is both exotic and deeply familiarly comforting. The white, fragrant steam rises in a single, thick and unwavering plume, lifting the essence of the harvest toward the high, barrel-vaulted ceiling where it spreads into a protective, insulating canopy. This cloud of warmth acts as a physical barrier, effectively sealing the room off from the damp, freezing chill of the mountain air that attempts to permeate the cracks in the ancient masonry. Down here, beneath the massive, solid foundations of the city, the passage of time is measured not by clocks or bells, but by the gradual, steady cooling of the stove and the persistent, soothing rhythm of the keeper's hand. The massive oak casks, standing in the shadows of the vault, act as silent, immovable guardians of this century, their aged wood exuding a faint, comforting scent of history and endurance that anchors the room in a state of permanent, unshakable peace. Every movement within this space is deliberate, every sound a carefully placed note in a symphony of stillness. The soft metallic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim is the heartbeat of the cellar, a constant, predictable and deeply reassuring sound that draws the mind away from all complex thoughts, fears and obligations. It is a focus point of exquisite simplicity, a metronome that guides your own internal state toward a perfect, calm equilibrium. The flickering golden light from the tallow candle casts long, stretching shadows that dance rhythmically against the rough-hewn stone, a visual echo of the movement within the pot that hypnotizes the eye and further relaxes the spirit. As you breathe in the rich spice vapor, you feel a profound liquid warmth spreading through your body, melting away every lingering knot of tension in your muscles and clearing the final stubborn cobwebs from your mind. There is no urgency here, no demand for action, and no expectation of anything other than the quiet, steady pursuit of comfort. You are held in this space by the weight of the mountain and the grace of the hearth, cocooned in a bubble of safety that exists entirely outside the reach of the waking world. The air is clean, dry, and nourishing, filling your chest with the scent of cloves and ancient wine, a sensory anchor that roots you firmly in the present moment. There is a sense of coming home, a realization that all you ever needed was this stillness, this warmth, and the permission to simply let go. You feel the boundaries of your awareness softening, the sharp edges of your identity dissolving into the dark, welcoming quiet of the vault, until you are nothing more than a witness to the gentle rhythmic labor of the keeper. The world above, the cold, The noise the endless grinding demands has ceased to exist, replaced by the profound eternal reality of this cellar. In this absolute state of security, you are free to relinquish your grip on consciousness, allowing your eyelids to grow heavy and your spirit to drift into the deep, dark, and restorative embrace of a slumber that will carry you through the night, protected by the stone, the fire, and the timeless, unwavering rhythm of the harvest. The stillness within the subterranean chamber has deepened, reaching a density that feels almost physical, as if the very air itself has become a soft protective medium holding this moment in place. Within the high barrel-vaulted stone arches, the only discernible movement is the steady, hypnotic rotation of the wooden spoon, which the tavern keeper guides through the pewter pot with the practiced ease of one who has surrendered entirely to the rhythm of the night. The vessel, dark and heavy, with the essence of the 1555 harvest, emits a rich, complex perfume that fills the vault, a tapestry of cinnamon, clove, and the deep, sweet warmth of concentrated red wine. The orange peels have long since shed their bright citrus vitality, settling into the brew as translucent heavy ribbons that have taken on the deep saturated mahogany of the vintage itself. They move with a quiet, lingering grace, clinging to the wooden spoon as it passes, then releasing into the dark pool with a soft, liquid whisper. The cinnamon sticks, now long, softened fibers, roll lazily against the bottom of the pot, their structure fully yielding to the low, constant heat of the iron stove, continuously releasing an earthy, comforting sweetness that serves as the foundation for the entire olfactory experience. The whole cloves, small, star-shaped, and perfectly dispersed, bob in the gentle currents, their sharp, fiery oils having been mellowed into a deep, grounding spice that threads through the wine, creating a sensation of absolute holistic warmth. This steam, a thick, white, and deliberate plume, climbs steadily toward the cold limestone ceiling, where it gathers in a soft, visible canopy, acting as an insulating layer that shields the room from the biting damp chill of the subterranean earth. Down here, far beneath the cobblestone streets and the freezing autumn fog of Salzburg, the concept of chronological time has effectively vanished. There are no iron bells to signal the hours, no distant clamor of the city to disturb the sanctity of the vault, and no expectations of performance or progress. You are permitted to simply exist within the cradle of this stone sanctuary held by the weight of the mountain and the gentle radiating heat of the fire. The massive oak casks, standing in the deep, silent shadows, serve as immovable sentinels, their seasoned wood adding a subtle ancient note to the air, reminding you of the countless seasons that have come and gone, while this cellar remains unchanging and secure. Every motion of the keeper's hand is a lesson in the power of simplicity. He does not rush, he does not fret, and he does not look away. He is an embodiment of the present, his focus singular and unwavering. The soft, predictable metallic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim acts as the pulse of the room, a rhythmic, soothing heartbeat that synchronizes with your own breath, gradually pulling your awareness inward, away from the complex anxieties of the waking world. As you inhale the spiced vapor, you feel the tension in your shoulders melt away, your muscles slackening in response to the deep penetrating warmth that seems to radiate directly from the hearth into the very marrow of your bones. There is no urgency here, no pressure to achieve, and no fear of the unknown. You are entirely surrounded by a sensory environment that demands nothing and provides everything. The flickering golden light of the tallow candle dances across the rough, uneven masonry of the walls, creating a landscape of stillness that mirrors the quiet within your own mind. It is a world reduced to the essentials: heat, scent, shadow, and the gentle recurring sound of the work being done. There is a profound sense of homecoming in this darkness, and realization that all you ever needed was this stillness, this warmth, and the permission to stop trying. You feel the boundaries of your consciousness expanding and thinning, the rigid edges of your identity dissolving into the dark, welcoming quiet of the vault until you are nothing more than a witness to the keeper's labor. The world above, with all its noise and struggle, has ceased to exist, replaced by the profound eternal reality of this room. You are safe, you are held, and you are entirely at peace, ready to surrender the last flickering remnants of your alertness to the deep, dark, and restorative embrace of a slumber that is as ancient and as secure as the stone foundations beneath you, waiting patiently to guide you through the long, quiet night. The atmosphere within the deep stone vault has reached a state of ultimate suspended harmony, where the distinction between the physical environment and the internal state of the mind has begun to fade into a single, seamless experience of tranquility. The tavern keeper remains a fixed grounding anchor within this historical space, his presence as steady and enduring as the massive limestone blocks that form the barrel-vaulted ceiling. His right hand continues to perform the quiet, rhythmic labor of stirring, the wooden spoon tracing perfectly circular paths through the thick, darkened wine. The pewter pot, a vessel of singular purpose, holds the spice liquid at the precise temperature required for its transformation, the surface tension holding the heat like a warm, dark mirror that reflects only the flicker of the tallow candle. The orange peels have long since lost their bright, citrus definition, becoming instead soft, translucent ribbons that drift with a ghostly, weightless grace through the depths, their flavor fully integrated into the body of the vintage. The cinnamon sticks, now supple, dark, and perfectly soft, release a slow, constant stream of woody, aromatic sweetness that anchors the room's scent profile in a sense of ancient, unchanging comfort. The cloves, small and star-shaped, act as the quiet pulses within this aromatic symphony, their sharp, fiery essence tempered into a deep, foundational warmth that radiates from the center of the pot. A thick, white, and perfectly vertical column of steam rises from the simmering surface, moving with a deliberate, slow-motion grace towards the apex of the vaulted ceiling. There, it pulls into a soft, visible canopy, an insulating layer of fragrant warmth that creates a complete impenetrable seal against the damp, biting chill of the mountain air that exists in the world outside the cellar doors. Down here, deep within the protective embrace of the earth, the concept of time has been rendered completely obsolete. There is no frantic ticking of a clock, no intrusive sound of church bells, and no demand for progress that can reach through the thick masonry to disrupt the sacred quiet order of this room. The massive oak barrels stacked in the shadows are the silent, stoic witnesses to this ritual, their aged, seasoned wood contributing a subtle earthy undertone that grounds the air in a sense of history and endurance. Every movement of the tavern keeper is a masterclass in the beauty of simplicity. He is not simply performing a task, he is maintaining a boundary between the chaos of the outer world and the peace of this sanctuary. The metallic, rhythmic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim rings out with a beautiful, predictable consistency, serving as the heartbeat of the cellar. It is a sound that acts as a sensory anchor, drawing your wandering mind back to the present, away from the complexities of duty and desire, and into the profound, unshakable stillness of the moment. As you breathe in the rich, spiced air, you feel a deep, liquid warmth flowing through your body, a sensation that melts away the last stubborn knots of tension in your muscles and clears the final lingering remnants of mental fatigue. There is no urgency here, no pressure to succeed, and no fear of the future. You are entirely cocooned in a space that asks nothing of you and provides everything you need to return to yourself. The golden, flickering light of the tallow candle casts long stretching shadows that dance rhythmically against the rough, uneven limestone walls, creating a visual rhythm that mirrors the slow stirring of the spoon. and further lulls your consciousness into a state of profound receptive calm. You feel yourself drifting, your awareness expanding to fill the entirety of the vault, your spirit settling into the deep, welcoming quiet of the earth. The world above, with all its noise, demand, and struggle, has become a distant fading memory, replaced by the eternal golden reality of this cellar. You are safe, you are held, and you are finally truly at rest, ready to surrender the last flickering remnants of your alertness to the deep, dark, and restorative embrace of a slumber that is as ancient as secure and as profoundly peaceful as the stone foundations beneath you, waiting to carry you through the long, quiet night in a state of absolute, blissful, and uninterrupted grace. The deep subterranean silence of the vault is so profound that it possesses a physical texture, a soft velvet weight that presses gently against the senses, effectively sealing the chamber within a bubble of absolute timeless peace. The tavern keeper, appearing as a figure carved from the very history of the cellar, remains perfectly still upon his low three-legged stool, his weathered hand maintaining the slow, rhythmic, and hypnotic motion that has defined the night. Within the broad mouth of the heavy pewter pot, the spiced wine has achieved a state of complete syrupy maturity, its dark crimson surface reflecting the golden glow of the flickering tallow candle with a richness that is both hypnotic and deeply inherently grounding. The orange peels, having long since surrendered their initial bright vitality, now drift through the liquid like translucent ribbons of amber, their edges softened into a deep mahogany hue that speaks of long patient hours of steady heat. The cinnamon sticks, now long and supple, glide through the warming vintage with a silent, graceful ease, continuously releasing their complex, woody sweetness into the air, creating a foundation of comfort that saturates every corner of the room. The whole cloves, small and perfectly placed, bob quietly in the gentle, swirling currents, their sharp, fiery essence fully mellowed into a deep, earth-bound spice that anchors the entire aromatic profile of the sanctuary. A thick, white, and perfectly vertical plume of steam rises from the simmering brew, ascending with a deliberate slow-motion grace toward the apex of the high barrel-vaulted ceiling, where it gathers into a soft visible canopy. This fragrant, warm layer acts as a complete, impenetrable shield against the biting, damp chill of the autumn night that persists in the world above, keeping the cellar in a state of perfectly balanced, dry warmth. Down here, far beneath the bustling cobblestone streets of the city, the passage of mechanical time has been rendered utterly irrelevant. There are no bells to mark the passing hours, no frantic demands to meet, and no expectations of performance to disrupt the sacred quiet order of this space. The massive iron-banded oak casks standing in the deep silent shadows serve as the stoic witnesses to this nightly ritual, their aged, seasoned wood adding a subtle grounding scent of history and endurance that anchors the room in a state of eternal, unwavering safety. Every motion of the keeper is a lesson in the power of simplicity. He does not rush, he does not fret, and he does not look away from the task at hand. His focus singular, unwavering, and entirely devoted to the creation of comfort. The soft metallic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim rings out with a beautiful, predictable consistency, acting as the heartbeat of the chamber, a sensory anchor that draws your wandering mind away from the complexities of duty and desire, and into the profound, unshakable stillness of the moment. As you breathe in the rich, spiced air, you feel a deep, liquid warmth flowing through your body, a sensation that melts away the last stubborn knots of tension in your muscles and clears the final lingering remnants of mental fatigue. There is no urgency here, no pressure to succeed, and no fear of the future. You are entirely cocooned in a space that asks nothing of you and provides everything you need to return to your core self. The golden flickering light of the tallow candle dances rhythmically against the rough, uneven limestone walls, creating a visual rhythm that mirrors the slow stirring of the spoon and further lulls your consciousness into a state of profound receptive calm. You feel yourself drifting, your awareness expanding to fill the entirety of the vault, your spirit settling into the deep, welcoming quiet of the earth. The world above, with all its noise, demand, and struggle, has become a distant, fading memory, replaced by the eternal golden reality of this cellar. You are safe, you are held, and you are finally truly at rest, ready to surrender the last flickering remnants of your alertness to the deep, dark, and restorative embrace of a slumber that is as ancient, as secure, and as profoundly peaceful as the stone foundations beneath you, waiting to carry you through the long, quiet night in a state of absolute, blissful, and uninterrupted grace. The subterranean vault holds the quietude of the night within its ancient limestone embrace, a silent sanctuary, shielded from the restless energy of the world above. The tavern keeper, appearing as a fixture of this timeless space, remains perfectly composed upon his low, three-legged stool, his hand continuing the slow, deliberate rotation of the wooden spoon through the heavy pewter pot. Within the vessel, the mulled wine has matured into a rich dark elixir, its surface a perfect, unbroken crimson mirror, reflecting the amber flicker of the tallow candle. The orange peels have long since shed their initial vibrant energy, now resting as soft, translucent ribbons of amber that drift lazily through the warm liquid, their edges deeply stained and softened by the hours of steady, gentle heat. The cinnamon sticks, now supple and fully expanded, roll in silent, majestic circles near the bottom of the pot, continuously exuding an intricate woody sweetness that permeates the air and grounds the room in a profound sense of comfort. The whole cloves, small and star-shaped bob, in the gentle whirlpools created by the spoon, their sharp exotic oils now perfectly tempered and integrated into the complex fruity base of the vintage. A thick, white, and unwavering column of steam rises from the simmering brew, ascending with a slow, hypnotic grace toward the apex of the barrel-vaulted ceiling, where it pulls into a soft, visible canopy of fragrant warmth. This dense cloud serves as an insulating layer, trapping the heat and ensuring that every corner of the cellar remains dry, protected, and entirely free from the damp, encroaching chill of the autumn night. Down here, the concept of time has dissolved entirely. There are no bells to toll the hour, no sunlight to track the progress of the day, and no external demands that could possibly penetrate the thick, protective stone walls. The massive iron-hooped oak casks, standing in the deep, silent shadows, act as immovable guardians of this nightly ritual, their aged wood lending a subtle, comforting scent of history and endurance to the air, reinforcing the feeling that you are entirely safe, entirely secure, and entirely free to let go. Every movement of the keeper is a masterpiece of economy and grace, a testament to the power of patience and the beauty of a task performed with absolute undivided focus. The rhythmic, soft, metallic ring of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim acts as a metronome for the room, a heartbeat that is predictable, soothing, and deeply reassuring. It is a sensory anchor that draws your consciousness inward, away from the complexities and anxieties of the waking world, and into the profound, unshakable stillness of the moment. As you breathe in the rich, spiced vapor, you feel a deep liquid warmth spreading throughout your entire body, a sensation that melts away the last stubborn knots of tension in your muscles and clears the final lingering remnants of mental effort from your mind. There is no urgency here, no pressure to perform, and no expectation to be anything other than exactly who you are in this very instant. You are held in this space by the weight of the mountain and the grace of the hearth, cocooned in a bubble of safety that exists entirely outside the reach of the fleeting, restless world. The golden flickering light of the tallow candle dances rhythmically against the rough-hewn limestone walls, creating a landscape of stillness that mirrors the quiet within your own consciousness. You feel yourself drifting, your awareness expanding to fill the entirety of the vault, your spirit settling into the deep welcoming quiet of the earth. The world above, the cold, the noise, the endless grinding demands has ceased to exist, replaced by the profound eternal reality of this cellar. You are safe, you are held, and you are finally truly at rest, ready to surrender the last flickering remnants of your alertness to the deep, dark, and restorative embrace of a slumber that is as ancient, as secure, and as profoundly peaceful as the stone foundations beneath you, waiting to carry you through the long, quiet night in a state of absolute blissful and uninterrupted grace. Every breath becomes slower, every thought more distant, as you sink into the welcoming velvet dark of the sanctuary, fully surrendered to the comforting, rhythmic labor of the keeper and the timeless protective silence of the vault. The stillness within the subterranean chamber has attained a quality of absolute crystalline perfection, a state of being where the very air seems to hold its breath in reverence of the silence. Within the high barrel-vaulted stone arches, the tavern keeper remains a stationary, ageless sentinel, his presence so thoroughly integrated into the architecture of the cellar that he seems to have become part of the very limestone foundations themselves. His right hand continues the slow, hypnotic, and perfectly circular rotation of the long wooden spoon, a gesture performed with such profound meditative consistency that it serves to anchor the entire room in the present moment. Within the heavy pewter pot, the spiced wine has achieved a state of deep, velvety maturation, its dark crimson surface reflecting the golden, flickering light of the single tallow candle with a clarity that reveals the absolute focus of the environment. The orange peels have long since surrendered their initial bright vitality, now drifting through the warm dark liquid as translucent heavy ribbons of amber that catch the light with a soft stained glass brilliance. Their edges, deeply stained and softened by the hours of patient unhurried heat, contribute a mellow honeyed depth to the brew. The cinnamon sticks, now long, supple, and fully expanded, glide through the whirlpools created by the spoon, their woody fibers continuously releasing an intricate, comforting sweetness that forms the foundational aroma of the sanctuary. The whole cloves, small star-shaped and perfectly dispersed, bob quietly in the gentle currents, their sharp, fiery oils having been mellowed into a rich, grounding spice that threads through the wine, creating an atmosphere of holistic physical warmth. A thick, white, and deliberate plume of steam rises from the simmering vessel, climbing steadily toward the cold limestone ceiling, where it gathers into a soft, visible canopy. This fragrant, warm layer acts as a complete, impenetrable shield against the biting, damp chill of the autumn night that persists in the world far above, maintaining the cellar in a state of perfectly balanced, dry, and impenetrable comfort. Down here, far beneath the bustling cobblestone streets and the freezing fog of the city, the passage of chronological time has been rendered utterly irrelevant. There are no bells to mark the passing hours, no frantic demands to meet, and no expectations of performance to disrupt the sacred quiet order of this space. The massive iron-banded oak casks, standing in the deep silent shadows, serve as the stoic, immovable witnesses to this nightly ritual, their aged, seasoned wood adding a subtle grounding scent of history and endurance that anchors the room in a state of eternal unwavering safety. Every motion of the keeper is a lesson in the power of simplicity. He does not rush, he does not fret, and he does not look away from the task at hand. His focus singular, unwavering, and entirely devoted to the creation of comfort. The soft metallic clink of the wooden spoon against the pewter rim rings out with a beautiful, predictable consistency, acting as the heartbeat of the chamber, a sensory anchor that draws your wandering mind away from the complexities of duty and desire and into the profound, unshakable stillness of the moment. As you breathe in the rich, spiced air, you feel a deep, liquid warmth flowing through your body, a sensation that melts away the last stubborn knots of tension in your muscles and clears the final, lingering remnants of mental fatigue. There is no urgency here, no pressure to succeed, and no fear of the future. You are entirely cocooned in a space that asks nothing of you and provides everything you need to return to your core self. The golden, flickering light of the tallow candle dances rhythmically against the rough, uneven limestone walls, creating a landscape of stillness that mirrors the quiet within your own mind. It is a world reduced to the essentials: heat, scent, shadow, and the gentle recurring sound of the work being done. There is a profound sense of homecoming in this darkness, a realization that all you ever needed was this stillness, this warmth, and the permission to stop trying. You feel the boundaries of your consciousness expanding and thinning, the rigid edges of your identity dissolving into the dark, welcoming quiet of the vault until you are nothing more than a witness to the keeper's labor. The world above, with all its noise and struggle, has ceased to exist, replaced by the profound eternal reality of this room. You are safe, you are held, and you are entirely at peace, ready to surrender the last, flickering remnants of your alertness to the deep, dark, and restorative embrace of a slumber that is as ancient, as secure, and as profoundly peaceful as the stone foundations beneath you, waiting to carry you through the long, quiet night, in a state of absolute blissful and uninterrupted grace. Every breath you take draws you further into the sanctuary, wrapping you in the safety of the stone, the warmth of the fire, and the eternal steady rhythm of the keeper's hand, ensuring that your rest is total, complete, and perfectly restorative. The long night finally reaches its zenith, and the subterranean chamber has settled into a state of absolute, eternal grace. The tavern keeper, having completed his long and patient labor, sets the wooden spoon aside with a quiet, deliberate movement that marks the end of his watch. He leaves it resting against the inner curve of the pewter pot, where the residual heat continues to coax the final, deepest notes of spice and fruit from the brew. The iron stove, its embers now reduced to a soft, glowing bed of red ash, casts a gentle, fading warmth that seems to pulse in time with the very foundations of the earth. The air in the room is thick, sweet, and perfectly balanced, a fragrant cocoon that shields you from the infinite complexities of the world above. As the last flicker of the tallow candle dances against the limestone arches, the shadows lengthen and eventually coalesce, turning the entire cellar into a dark, welcoming sanctuary where time holds no power and distance has no meaning. The massive oak casks, the silent, stoic guardians of this history, stand immovable in the darkness, their seasoned presence a final assurance that you are protected, held, and utterly secure. You feel your own consciousness, once so vibrant and demanding, now fading into a soft, monochromatic stillness. There is no longer a desire to move, to speak, or even to think. The boundaries of your physical self have expanded to meet the boundaries of the room. You are part of the stone, part of the warmth, and part of the deep, quiet rhythm that defines this place. The world of noise, light, and struggle has vanished, replaced by the profound velvet reality of this underground refuge. You are finally completely at rest. The gentle lingering aroma of cinnamon and clove is the last thing you know before the final threshold of awareness is crossed. It is a surrender that feels not like an ending, but like a homecoming, a return to the silent earthen center of your being. In this dark, cool, and perfectly safe embrace, you are free to sink into the deepest, most restorative sleep you have ever known, carried by the weight of the mountain and the grace of 1,000 nights. The cellar keeps its vigil, the stone holds its secret, and you remain here cradled in the perfect silent peace of a history that will never wake, forever held in the quiet golden heart of the mountain, lost in a slumber that is as boundless, as ancient, and as absolute as the earth itself.
Sleepy History Tales is created for relaxation, entertainment, and sleep purposes.
The stories shared on this channel are inspired by historical events, daily life, and real periods in history. but they may be simplified, adapted, or narrated in a calming way to enhance the listening experience. This content is not intended to be a precise academic or educational source. While we aim to stay generally accurate, some details may be altered for storytelling flow and relaxation.
Please do not rely on this channel as a primary source for historical research or study.
By listening, you acknowledge that this content is designed to help you unwind, relax, and fall asleep.
Thank you for your understanding and support.